And it all comes down to this. Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen, to the final race of the 9th season of the Bandit Racing League, presented by Full Send Racing Network. What a season it has been, and it all ends here tonight. 4 championship contenders came into the final round here, fighting for the championship of both Talladega and Charlotte, but tonight we finally declare a champion. 4 drivers came into the round, all with potential to win, and it was Tony Hilbrands that, unfortunately lucked out a little bit in our first race of the round of 2 at Talladega last week. He unfortunately was involved in some early confusion on pit road and early wreck, and unfortunately, due to the number of drivers we have in tonight's event and how many points he is back at the cutoff, unfortunately he is ineligible for tonight's race. But that leaves us with 3, not too far down from the cutoff, but certainly a little ways back. We got the man himself, who has essentially become the fan favorite, Cody Welch. What a season he has had from start to finish. You see here on screen now just how close he came to a win earlier this year at Texas, but unfortunately was never able to pick up that win in 23 races, a number of top 5s, a number of podiums, but couldn't quite get over the hump. He's 11 points back of this man, Bret Guzik, the driver of the 04 truck, had the best race of anybody at Charlotte, finishing in a runner-up spot in second behind Kevin Foster. It was a great performance from Kevin. Got redemption for Bret's first win of the season at Chicagoland, but Bret is the guy coming in with the points total to beat. Nick is going to have to be the guy to chase, and well, Nick is the guy that we got to wrap up on, because you're defending champion, the most dominant season I think we've ever seen in the Bandit Racing League. Could be his 10th win of the season if he can rattle one off tonight at Charlotte. I mean, he's got 9 on the year. He's only 2 back of Bret, very fitting with the number 2 truck. And yeah, him and Bret are going to be the story to talk about tonight. 2 points separating themselves coming into Charlotte, and this is why we do what we do, Evan. What a season it has been. And speaking of Evan Wall, he is back on the broadcast for the final race of the season. Your commentary duo from last season, Season 8, most of Season 9 to start off the year. It's so great to have you back, Evan. And just what do you even say about a race like tonight? You know, it's Cody Welch, the comeback kid this season, as he's been all year. He's still in the conversation, 11 points back at the cutoff. But that battle for the title, defending champion Nick Nickerson versus Bret Guzik, the guy who's been so consistent for so long. We know what he's put into the series. He's had some top 5s. He's had some podiums before. But this season, we've seen him bump it up to a new level. What do you expect tonight, Evan, at Charlotte to round off Season 9?
Well, first of all, I'm just expecting that this is going to be a really fun race. Charlotte's always a really good track, a really fun track, and it's really fitting to come here to close off this season. I also think it's really fitting that Nick Nickerson isn't leading this. It's Bret Guzik, our comeback kid, the guy that we talked about from the beginning of the season, that just he really grew so much through the season. He went from the guy that couldn't really get that win. He was getting those top finishes, but he couldn't get that win. And now here he is sitting up front. He's on top of the points, but Nick Nickerson only 2 points behind him. Like you said, I think it's very fitting that it's those 2 guys up 1 and 2 right now. You can't forget Cody Welch. Cody Welch isn't too far back. I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about the points here soon to come, but it's going to be a really fun race, and we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to the points.
We really do. We'll give you a bit of a recap a little bit later on what the situation is coming in. But again, what you need to remember is that Bret leads with 45 points, Nick is 2 back with 43, and Cody is 11 back with 34. And tonight and Talladega are the only races that matter for the championship. Nick may have 9 wins, but none of those mean anything tonight. It's all about how you can perform at Charlotte and the clutch moment to put you put yourself in the situation to win the title last week at Talladega. This is the week you got to cash in. And just, again, Evan, the battle we're going to be talking about all night, and we're going to go to an interview actually with both drivers in just a moment. Your top 2 heading into tonight, separated by only 2 points, but it's Bret Guzik versus Nick Nickerson, and it's such an interesting battle. You see here their overall stats from this entire season. So this includes the playoffs and it includes the regular season. And just, I said it in the intro, but what a year it's been for Nick Nickerson. 7 poles, 9 wins, 16 top 5s, 18 top 10s in 24 races, an average finish of 5.27. He's got almost an average of top 5. That is absurd. That's unheard of in modern NASCAR in real life. And it's those sim stats that I think have proven exactly why Nick is seen by everybody in the series as the guy to beat. You know, the de facto number 1. But Bret in the playoffs has just kind of come alive. He's found another gear. You'll see that in just a minute. But overall this season, you know, Bret with 2 poles, 2 wins, 10 top 5s, 14 top 10s. He's had a great year for himself in his own right. And as we go to the playoff stats for each driver, I think that's where you really see it. exactly how much, Bret has been able to come into his own in the playoffs under the pressure of being clutch. And his numbers start to look a lot more comparable to Nick. I mean, you talk about Nick, 3 poles, 3 wins, coming pretty early on in the playoffs, actually. Bret, no poles in the playoffs, but did have that clutch win at Eldora to win on the dirt, holding off Nick in that battle. So last time these two had a one-on-one altercation, well, it was Nick that came out on top, but the top 5 is almost identical, 5 apiece, 6 top 10s each. The average finish of 5.88 for Nick versus 7.34 for Bret. Not far apart, and I think, Evan, that's what this playoff format really rewards, is it's not about overall performance, the entire season as a whole. It's meant to be more interesting than that, and I think we can both agree on paper over the whole season, Nick has been that guy to beat, but when you got to be clutch in the playoffs, you got to capitalize on a limited number of races. I think Bret has really found that this season, and I feel like that's what could play to his advantage tonight at Charlotte.
Yeah, I completely agree. Nick has been the guy to beat all season, but you watch this in really any form of sport, it doesn't matter how good you do in the beginning of the season. It all comes down to the end. It comes down to the championship night, those final few games, those final few races, those final few events. And this is that final event. We're in the round of 4. This is the time that you have to clutch up and you have to do it. And tonight we're going to find out who does it the best tonight here at Charlotte.
We will indeed, and well, before we get to your race, we're just about to get to qualifying here tonight to set the grid for the start of your final race of the season. But well, first we got to pull in your 2 guys that we just talked about, the 2 guys that are inarguably under the most pressure tonight, the guys that gotta find a way to perform. One of them is not on Skype at the moment. We don't have Nick Nickerson, but Bret Guzik is on track. We'll pull him up momentarily. But there is Bret. Nick is not with us at the moment on Skype, but we will pull them in. We're going to do a quick interview, ask a couple quick questions to both Bret and Nick, and get their thoughts as we get ready for tonight's finale. Just a moment here. There is Mr. Nick Nickerson. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, just a moment.
Yeah, while he's getting these guys on Skype right now, in practice, Nick Nickerson, the top of the board, followed by Michael Ramos, Cody Welch, and Bret Guzik.
Speaking of Bret Guzik, we now have them in the broadcast booth. Bret and Nick, you are now up here in the Bandit broadcast booth. You guys both got a copy?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've got you.
Awesome. Well, tonight, guys, tonight is the night. 1 race, winner takes it all. 2 points separating the both of you. Bret with the advantage. Nick coming in 2 points behind. And Nick, we'll go to you first. It's the final race of the season. You've had an incredible year, but you're the guy coming in chasing, 2 points down on Bret. How do you treat it as, for the first time in a long time, being the guy doing the chasing, being the guy on offense? What does that do to your game plan tonight?
I don't really know. I mean, just kind of is what it is, man. And I don't know. Maybe it feels a little better when you're the one being offensive and not on defense. I don't know, because I did that last year and it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But, it could be kind of hairy sometimes because you don't want to potentially lose points. All I got to do is gain points at this point. I mean, and this race is gonna be tough. It's probably gonna be all about them bonus points because Bret and I are most likely gonna be in the front of the pack the whole race unless something bad happens. Yeah, man. I mean, not much I could say about it other than just kind of going after it and see what happens.
I mean, it's going to be exciting for sure. I know you've got a lot to work through tonight. I mean, Bret, you've put up an absolute fight here in the playoffs. It's the reason you're up 2 points heading into the last race of the season. And tonight at Charlotte, I know both you guys last week said this wasn't a track you're feeling great about. You're just getting ready to go into qualifying now. But Bret, with the work you put in this week, the practice time you put in, do you feel like at the end of the night it's not a stretch to be saying we'll be putting Bret Guzik on the championship trophy?
Yeah, I honestly don't know what's going to happen. All I can say is that the audience is going to win tonight.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. I have no doubt about that. I talked about it earlier, but we've seen some great finishes at the 1.5 miles in the past, and the intermediate tracks have been one that you're pretty equal at. I know Nick was the winner last year, but again, Bret, you're riding the hot hand, and I just wish both of you guys the absolute best of luck tonight. Get into qualifying, see if you can put it on the front row, and maybe we'll be talking to one of you guys at the end of the night.
I appreciate it, man.
Yep, thanks.
There we go. Bret Guzik and Nick Nickerson, your 2 drivers who are battling it out for the title tonight. And again, Evan, I feel bad, simplifying it down to these 2 guys. I feel like there are more drivers certainly that have, I think, been competitive enough to be in this spot. You talk about guys like Ricky Hart. I think definitely deserves some mention in that capacity. But, overall, it's just, I think it's been the case of Nick winning in the regular season. He was the guy to beat in that capacity. And since then, it's just been Bret kind of taking over there and in the playoffs. And it's kind of a nice, the perfect situation for the playoff format, wouldn't you say? The guy that's overall had the most success in Nick versus the guy who's had the most recent success in Bret. And tonight, we're just going to see what wins out. Kind of unstoppable force meets a movable object.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And if you had asked me at Daytona if this is what I thought we would have had, I don't think this is what I would have thought. I wouldn't really have guessed that it would have been Bret and Nick, but I feel like this is the most fitting pair, and this is where we should be. And, speaking of these guys, we're going into qualifying now. Neither of them have put down a time, but speaking of playoff drivers and other guys that do deserve a little bit of respect and to be talked about a little bit, Michael Ramos currently with the quickest time, and Kevin Foster second, Ricky Hart Jr. third, three really fast guys. And I think at a race here like Charlotte, this is where you're going to see a lot of those names. You're going to see a lot of those really fast guys, because Charlotte's one of those places where it's really easy for a lot of people to be fast. Not saying that it's an easy track by any means, but this is where guys can really thrive no matter what specialty you have. Basically, everybody just tends to be good at tracks like this, Charlotte, Texas, those ones that look like that. And just like that, Bret Guzik going to the top of the board.
Yeah, clutch lap time for Bret. I mean, I just talked about it, but tonight is probably the most important qualifying night of the season. Keeping in mind, Evan, that quick repairs are still a factor, and we saw last year with Nick at Richmond actually got involved in a wreck at some point in the race, or had some confusion on pit road that I think led him to be stuck in mid-pack, kind of put himself in some risky situations. I think the best strategy for any driver tonight is you saw Cody Welch just finishing up his lap time. Same with Tony Hilbrands, the final two remaining playoff drivers. Cody's still in contention tonight for the championship, only 11 points back. If some struggles befall Nick and Bret, he could definitely find himself in contention for the title. But yeah, it's just going to be one of those races where I think anybody is in play. You can qualify as far back as Cody in 11th, and it's a 109 lap race tonight here in the Perfect Shine Auto Spa 109. Not out of question at all that any driver would be able to work their way back through in all that time. But we've seen in the past, cautions breed cautions, and if you're a guy who gets stuck mid-pack and those cautions keep happening, eventually you're going to get wrapped up in one of them. And that's the last thing the playoff guys want. I think anybody's going to want to finish the race with that quick repair in their back pocket, but especially somebody that's racing for a title, and it's a particularly important race. So we'll see how guys are able to stay out of trouble tonight, and we'll see how aggressive guys are willing to get right off the bat to go for the win. But for the time being, I just alluded to it a moment ago, but we got to talk about tonight's race sponsor, and we are so thankful to have them on, sponsoring us again, not only for this race, but for last week's race, Perfect Shine Auto Spa. They've been a huge sponsor of the series, a huge support all season, but they were kind enough to sponsor every race of this final round at both Talladega and Charlotte. So Perfect Shine Auto Spa, and on behalf of Kevin Foster, last week's winner at Talladega, it was a great performance on behalf of them last week, and I think Kevin picked the perfect week to get that first win of the season. We'll see if the guy that we've kind of clumped him in with all year, Cody Welch, is able to get his first tonight as well. But certainly Perfect Shine Auto Spa, we thank them for everything they've done, and they've actually confirmed that they will be signing on with the series in some sort of primary role. We're not sure if it's a title sponsor, or if it's just primary sponsorship like they have been this season, but they have officially signed on with us again for next season, for season 10. So we are so thankful to have them back. Thank you to Perfect Shine Auto Spa for sponsoring tonight's Perfect Shine Auto Spa 109 championship night here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And with that, Evan, we are ready to go. Your driver lineup is set. Qualifying has come to an end. We have your pole sitter, and well, tonight it's the best night again that he could have possibly done. So your pole sitter for tonight's race, Mr. Bret Guzik on the pole. And let's run you through your starting lineup for the final event of the season here at Charlotte. There is your starting grid on the pole. Ahead of last season's pole sitter here at this very same track, Bret Guzik in the 04 truck. As the sun goes down, he's one race away from his first ever championship and making the streak of defending champions never happening in this series. Nobody has ever won back-to-back. Bret's trying to make that the case again tonight. On the outside of row number 1, it is Michael Ramos. Row number 2, last week's winner, Kevin Foster, will start in the third spot on the inside of Ricky Hart Jr. After that, we got Nick Nickerson, the other man fighting for the title, only 2 spots back of Bret Guzik. Needs to make up 2 points, can do it on bonus points or in finishing spots. Nick Nickerson starts in the 5th spot. Eddie Hagge on his outside. He's commentated with us earlier this season. We're so glad to see him back in the truck tonight. Tony Hilbrands on the inside of row number 4 alongside Benjamin Lacey. Mark Allen Bivens in row number 9. Remember, he's the most improved driver, not on track yet, but he should be in just a moment. And Brandon Jackson, Action Jackson himself, will round off the top 10.
In 11th place is going to be the 29 truck of Joshua McQuiggan, followed in 12th by playoff driver Cody Welch, looking to get a win here tonight and secure the victory. Christopher Ferrara going to be in 13th position in the 13 truck. 14th is going to be Nolan Gross, followed in 15th by Matt Crockett. 16th, Jonas Ludzatter, followed in 17th by Cale Zook. 18th is going to be Jason Romy. Christopher Hamilton in 19th, and Jason Greenwell to round off your 20th position.
Starting the 20s, Jackson Knock in the 00 truck starts alongside Mason Flagar. That's James Hartley and Anthony Caetano, 23rd and 24th. Andrew Zook, who I believe is running a Christmas truck tonight, alongside the other Zooks in the 25th spot. Then after that, we got Peter Murphy in 26th, Benny Hogan in 27th, Gary Moore in 28th, John Graham alongside Terry Condis will round off your top 30.
31st is going to be Sean Britt, followed by Steve Ulrich, Bill Harkins, Alan Castle, and Gary Wright to round out tonight's field here at Charlotte for the championship race.
That is your grid, and well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the one. You guys have stuck with us all season. You've watched the Bandit Racing League all the way through. We've had some highs, we've had some lows, we've had some incredible races, we've had some great finishes, and what a season it has been. We are so glad that you guys get to be with us to finish it off. And I want to know from you guys right here at the start of the race, who is it going to be? You know your championship 3. It is going to be Nick Nickerson, Bret Guzik, and Cody Welch. Again, 11 points back, but not out of the out of contention whatsoever. Again, we'll put up your playoff bracket one more time just to show you the official points heading into tonight's race. Guzik, Nickerson, Welch, Hilbrands. Nickerson and Guzik both got a podium last week at Talladega. We'll get to your race recap if we have the time. They did everything they had to, but now here we go. Bret Guzik, the pole sitter. Michael Ramos, last season's pole sitter on the outside. We'll see if he has pace early, but we are getting ready to go. The pace truck about to take the left-hander onto pit road, and we will send it to green for the final time this season in the 9th season of the Bandit Racing League. The perfect shine auto spot 109. Bret Guzik takes him to green here at Charlotte.
Oh, and they're wrecking on the front straightaway. Huge wreck on the front straightaway toward the back of the field, and we're already going to have our first caution of the night.
Didn't even make it to the green flag for some of these drivers. Yeah, early caution here we're already seeing at Charlotte. Not the way most of these drivers wanted to start the race, and it's got to be just a case of those tensions building up all the way throughout the season. It finally kicks off, and a massive wreck early on. Let's go to your first Perfect Shine Auto Spa replay, your Full Send Racing replay, and let's just see what brought out that first caution again before we even got to the green flag. So we're going to go to James Hartley here, driving the 75 Lowe's track. Let's see what happens to him early on. So the accident happens up in front, actually. It's a pileup between Jonas Lazatter's involved. I think Christopher Hamilton as well. So we will go up to the driver of the number 71 truck. So this is on the restart. Watch the 71 of Lazatter there in the background, the black truck with orange flames. Matt Crockett in the 10 is there as well, the 44 of Cale Zook. Now the checkup is even further in front, so not sure what would have kicked that off. I see Brandon Jackson up there. We'll check his perspective. Something up there just did not get going. I think it was Brandon. I'm almost wondering if Brandon spun the tires. You see here, the 99 truck on the top side, that white and blue, and yeah, it just didn't get going. I think there was a bit of a checkup from Benjamin Lacey in front, but it looked like the 99 just missed a shift. I'm curious to get your take on that, Evan.
Yeah, it looks to me like he possibly just missed a shift. I don't know if he maybe was trying to. I don't know what he could have been doing. Just missed a shift at some point, but that's something that happens. You know, cold drivers being cold and not ready to go.
Yeah, it looked like an accidental downshift to me. It actually did look the way his revs dropped off, like he downshifted there. Yeah. So just a tiny mistake from Brandon Jackson. But again, just like that, you know, it goes to show that any track, not just the super speedways where the big one is kind of a, you know, traditional thing we all think about, but you know, even at a smaller track like this, if there's a massive checkup while everybody's all packed in like that, can have devastating effects. That's something we could see again later as the race gets further in, where, you know, lap traffic comes into play, lead lap cars trying to get by, you know, cars a lap down. It's going to be something we see all night, and again, that's why I was saying a little bit earlier that I think it's going to be important for those guys who, you know that they're going for the championship, know that they just need to keep themselves in the conversation. And even if you're not in the top 5, you know, you can hope for some late race chaos, but you got to be there at the end first. And we've seen in the past in this series that being in the middle just isn't the place to be in order to do that.
Yeah, so looking in the comments here, apparently Brandon Shifter broke on that start. So yeah, assuming that he probably shifted into the wrong gear or something like that because of his shifter braking, that makes sense. And yeah, unfortunately, that's going to be our first caution of the night here. But one thing that I think is important to mention with Bret Guzik getting the pole, Bret was already 2 points ahead of Nick and 11 points ahead of Cody. But you get a bonus point for having the fastest qualifying lap sitting on the pole. So Bret Guzik now going to be 3 points ahead of Nick in bonus points and 12 points ahead of Cody.
And that's a really good point you bring up, Evan, because that discrepancy of 3 points, that doesn't sound like a lot, I'm sure, thinking about it. But, think about where these guys tend to finish. Bret and Nick, going through, trying to rack up stats for this race, it becomes very apparent just how often these two finish in the top 5 together. Last week they finished 1 spot apart. At Eldora, they finished first and second. These guys have a tendency to finish on the podium in the top 5. And if you're Nick, you got to bank on now going for the win. Let's say that the bonus points wash out. You got to hope that you and Bret finish 4 spots apart. You got to finish 4 spots ahead of Bret, or 3 points, because the tiebreaker officially on points in the Bandit Racing League is most wins. And Bret's had an incredible season. To his credit, his wins were both very impressive, but Nick has 9. He's going to win the tiebreaker no matter what. So Nick just needs to call those 3 points back. But thinking about how quality, how premium, and how top tier these drivers are, how elite they are, and how much practice they've put in. If you're Nick, Evan, do you foresee Bret not finishing in the top 5 with anything except a wreck?
Yeah, unless there's a wreck, I don't think Bret or Nick are finishing outside of the top 3, honestly.
Right.
So I feel like it's going to come down to an accident happening, something like that, or it's going to come down to these bonus points. You get 2 plus bonus points for an incident-free race. I think both of these guys really need to get that. Most laps led, that's going to be really important. +1 for a lap led, I feel like both of these guys are going to have that. I feel like it's going to come down to the bonus point for the fastest lap, bonus point for the most laps led, and 2 bonus points for an incident-free race. So I'm going to expect that both guys are going to get the incident-free race. I feel like it's going to come down to the fastest lap, the most lap led, and whether it's Bret or Nick that wins this race, because I feel like it's going to be one of those 2 guys.
Well, whoever comes out on top, we will be declaring a 9th champion in Bandit Racing League history tonight. And just to give you a little bit of background information, let's find the list of all of the past champions in the Bandit Racing League, just for a little bit of context. So there you go on the right-hand side. Daniel Grice, the first ever champion of the Bandit Racing League in Season 1. In Season 2, there's a name you might recognize, Mr. Kevin Foster here, who currently sits in tonight's race in the 3rd spot there in the number 8 truck. We're 1 lap away from going green. We'll see if Kevin can make some forward progress and try to maybe back up the 04 to his teammate Nick Nickerson. But Cody Webster was your champion in Season 4. Jonathan Platt, you may recognize that name as well, sitting in 4th spot. He was here last week at Talladega. Kevin Foster became the only repeat winner in the Bandit Racing League's history in Season 5 when he won the title. Carl Handwerk won in Season 7, Season 6. Another familiar name there in Season 7. Ricky Hart Jr. won his title. And last year in Season 8, Nick Nickerson became the 7th different champion in Bandit Racing League history in its 8th season. And tonight he looks to become not only the 2nd to win multiple alongside teammate Kevin Foster, but also looks to become the 1st to ever repeat and go back-to-back as the champion. We'll see who it is, but the pace truck is off onto pit road. First restart of the race. Same order in the top 5. Bret waiting. In the restart zone. Green flag. Bret Guzik takes the 04 truck, and he is off. Lap number 6, and the Charlotte 109 presented by Perfect Shine Auto Spa. Good jump for the 04 truck, pretty decently far ahead of the 27 and the 8 heading into turn number 1. Nick has not dropped too far back. In fact, I think he's made a spot up on Eddie Hagge in the very first corner. That's the forward progress befitting of a future champion.
Yeah, that was a huge jump there for Bret. You see these guys have really single filed out a little bit behind there. Kevin Foster going to look up to the outside. Ricky Hart Jr. may try and join him here. We'll have to watch that in the coming laps.
Yeah, Kevin Foster, Ricky Hart here battling for 3rd and 4th. Nickerson rounding off the top 5, and then it's a pretty considerable drop back here to Eddie Hagge. Who's got Tony Hilbrands, remember, technically a playoff driver, peeking to his inside. Further up here, the last 2 champions we just talked about, Nickerson and Hart. Nickerson down to the inside, picks that spot up, so the 2 truck up into the 4th spot now, continuing making that forward progress. And there he goes. Nick is putting himself in a good spot. You just want to be in that top 5, get any track position you can, but it's about taking those kind of calculated risks. And here at Charlotte, passes are going to be aplenty. It's a track that's really easy to pass out with the high banking, but you got to be careful. You can make some risky moves, and the last thing you want to do early on if you're Nick is get yourself involved in a wreck.
Yeah, Nick is definitely making the risky moves, and there's no better guy to do it than him. He's working his way up past Ricky Hart Jr. now. Now he's going to be hunting down Kevin Foster, who is on the heels of Michael Ramos and Bret Guzik up there at the front.
Looking a little ways further back, again, I don't want to, put this guy to the side. We'll talk to him in just a moment, but Cody Welch here, driver of the number 85 truck, he's still in the playoff fight, and if he can finish 11 spots ahead of both Bret and Nick, he could become tonight's champion as well, kind of from the dark horse spot after a somewhat unfortunate race at Talladega where he got involved in the late big one. The 85 truck moving through the field, already up 2 spots from qualifying, just behind Christopher Ferrara, who's also weaving his way through. Christopher Ferrara, he's helped us all season, he's commentated before, he's worked on our Instagram, and right now he is driving like a madman up 4 spots. Watches a little bit wide there from the bottom line. It's going to give Cody Welch the run to get by and move him up into the 9th spot, but Christopher Ferrara up 3 spots in the 13 truck. Not a bad start for him so far.
Yeah, it's great to see Chris doing so good. He needs to stick to the racetrack apparently instead of commentating. That's what it looks like. He was a great commentator. He sounded good, but man, he needs to find some way to be able to do both of them. Maybe he should just talk from in the truck. But anyways, talking about Cody Welch sitting right there, and yeah, I feel like we haven't talked about him as much. We've really been talking about Bret and Nick because I feel like Bret and Nick are probably going to both finish in the top 10. I feel like you've got to think that they do. But Cody Welch is a guy that I think could just as easily finish in the top 5. I would bet money that Cody Welch is going to finish in the top 5 here tonight unless some wreck happens. But the only thing is, that's not really enough. Cody Welch could come out and win this race, but he still has to hope that Nick and Bret finish far enough behind that he gets the benefit of the doubt, that he gets those extra points to put himself over. So don't think that we're counting Cody out. Cody is just as good of a driver as either one of those guys. He has just as much of a chance to win this. The only thing is there's some circumstances that are a little bit out of his control here tonight.
Well, somebody brought up a very good point in the chat there. I think it was Tanya that said Cody is good at the 1.5 mile tracks, and that is absolutely true. Cody's had plenty of speed at the intermediates last year. And we have a yellow flag somewhere on track. Who is involved in that? Nobody popping up immediately on my telemetry. Anthony Caetano, I'm seeing, has gone around. He has the 79 truck in the rundown to turn number 3. That 79, the red and black entry, finds itself looking the wrong way, bringing out our second caution of the night here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's go to your full send racing replay presented by Perfect Shine Auto Spot, tonight's race sponsor, and see what went wrong for the 79. So this is coming off of turn number 2. Just gets hooked, just flat out hooks himself in front of the 72. Mason Flagar turning him. You saw him bounce off the catch fence. Unrealistic iRacing physics shot him about 10 feet in the air and managed to land it back on all 4s. But what went wrong there for Anthony Caetano? Just gonna back it up here a little bit, just a tad. Get a better perspective there. Maybe go to a chopper camera just so we have a little bit better view of. Okay, that'll help, but gotta go back a little ways. So, I never want to judge it too quickly in these situations. It looked to me almost like the 79 kind of came up on the 72 of Flagar. I don't think that Mason necessarily should be at fault there, but yeah, just high speed racing. And I think that's something we've seen a lot of it at the bank tracks in the past, is that high banking. You carry a lot of speed through the corners back onto the straightaway as it evens out. There can be those miscommunications where you're coming off the banking where maybe you slide into a lane you don't expect. And I think that's just a case of that happening just right there.
Yeah, I agree. Anthony Caetano there, if you relook at the replay, he was 3 wide. He had a car down to his inside, and he may have been focusing on that. He may have been hearing his spotter say that he had a car down to his inside. He didn't know that he had a truck up there on the outside as well. So it looks like he just came onto the back straightaway, slid up to the outside, not exactly knowing that there was a car there. At least that's what I'm going to assume, is that he didn't know, and hooked himself off of his bumper directly into the wall and up into the air because of iRacing. But yeah, it's going to bring out our second caution of the night.
It will indeed. And now that we're under a caution, we have a bit of a moment to talk and kind of scope around the landscape of the driver lineup tonight. And we just talked about him a moment ago, how we want to give him a little bit more attention. We don't want to forget about him tonight, as again, he is in this spot this late in the season, only 11 spots back of your points leader coming in tonight. Bret Guzik could be the future champion. We could be talking to him as the first interview of the night later tonight. So let's get him in the broadcast booth, see how he's feeling, and see what his game plan is tonight for what, to be fair, is a very tough task ahead of him. Just got to find him down here. He picked the probably furthest away chat room of anybody in the entire list, so it's gonna be a moment. Just a sec. Almost here. There is Cody Welch. Hey, Cody, it's Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got you, Marshall.
Hey, Cody. Well, you know, tonight is the night, and you come in with, I'm sure, not the points, you know, standing you were hoping for or expecting. I know last week at Talladega did not go the way you were hoping, but Cody, tonight is the night you've been working for all season. You've had an incredible year to put yourself in the spot, and as the guy with 11 spots to make up, you know you need Nick and Bret to have some trouble, but you got to think, is tonight that night you go for the win, not only for points' sake, but, you know, we know the storyline all season. It's been a while. How are you feeling for tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good. I definitely know I need the win. I need those guys to have a bad night. A lot of things got to happen right, go my way to win this championship. So I'm going to give her hell. I'm going to do everything I can. But I tell you one thing, I'm not settling for second. It's not happening anymore. It's checkers or wreckers for me.
That's not a bad thing, I think, by any means. It's probably the strategy that's going to win somebody the championship tonight, knowing how aggressive people are going to be here at Charlotte. You know, I don't think Bret and Nick can take their foot off the gas pedal racing each other. And do you think there's any, you know, chance that you can maybe capitalize on that? You know, they are so close in points, 2 points apart, that they are going to be directly racing against each other. Is any part of your game plan to just let that happen, you know, let them do their thing and hope to pick up the pieces, or are you just doing your own thing and whatever happens, happens?
Well, definitely, if they get up there racing for the lead, you know, the last little bit of the race, I mean, I can only hope they race each other hard and get into each other and take each other out, and I'd be right there to capitalize. So definitely in the back of my mind, I'm going to be up right there with them racing for it just as hard. So I just hope to not take all three of us out in the process.
Well, it'd be a great moment, but it's not what we want to see as racing fans. Well, we saw Nick and Bret wreck at Eldora as well, so there is always a chance. But one more lap to go till the green flag here. We'll let you go in a sec. But somebody said in the chat, Tanya Mitchell said that you're really good at these intermediate tracks, and there's definitely precedent for that in the past. Charlotte tonight, is it a track you think you can make up some ground in? We've seen some good comeback drives in the past. Is Charlotte a place you could do another one?
I think so, Marshall. Things just got to go my way, and I got to minimize the little mistakes. They've killed me all season, so as long as I can do that, I'll have a good shot.
Give it your best, Cody, and the best Cody Welch I know absolutely deserves to be a champion in this series. So go out there and give him hell, Cody, and maybe we'll see if we're talking to you at the end of the night. Good luck, man.
Sounds good. Thanks.
There you go, Cody Welch, man. And Evan, you know, again, we're trying to give him some more credit, but again, I said it before, it's been a couple more races since we've had you in the broadcast booth, but after Rockingham in Season 8, after what was, again, probably the second best year I've ever seen in a professional iRacing series like this, besides Nick's season this year, would you have ever imagined that Cody would be at this point still without a win?
Never. I never would have guessed that Cody would have gone this long without a win, and especially with the finishes that he's had. I don't know how he's gone this long without a win. You know what? Maybe tonight's the night. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. But the pace truck is off. Bret Guzik is up front, gonna lead us to green. Green. And there he goes. Bret Guzik is off the 27 of Michael Ramos. In second place, he's gonna fall down to that inside line, and it's gonna be Kevin Foster and Nick Nickerson side by side battling it out for third position.
The two GFR Racing teammates, remember Nick making the decision not to turn Kevin Foster, not to get in his way en route to Kevin's win last week at Talladega that would have given Nick the win and a valuable bonus point in the championship. So we know these two GFR guys are going to race each other all the way to the finish, but right now they're sitting in third and fourth. Bret Guzik, Michael Ramos, your two leaders. Tony Hilbrands dropping back a spot there off that last restart, I believe, and yeah, he's now sitting down there in the fifth spot. Still a great performance for Tony, who besides last week at Talladega has had an incredible playoff in his own right. Just unfortunate luck there at what was going to be always a very tricky track there in the final two. And then right behind him is Eddie Hagge, and keep an eye on Cody Welch. Up 2 spots on the restart, got both Lacey and McQuiggan right off the bat. And this is what we see all the time, is guys like Lacey can make some forward momentum. Look at Tony Hilbrands going below the 2 truck and Nick Nickerson, dropping back a little bit from Foster that last time by. The 92's got a good run. Tony Hilbrands may not be in the championship fight anymore, may be ineligible with the number of points available in tonight's race, but Tony is going to race to the bitter end, side by side down to turn number 1.
Yeah, Tony Hilbrands and Nick Nickerson going to be side by side. Tony's down there on the bottom, Nick's up on the top. The 97 truck of Eddie Hagge, he's going to be that guy right behind him, looking to make something happen, follow who's ever able to go first, and it's going to be Nick Nickerson that takes away the position. Tony Hilbrands, like I said, or Eddie Hagge, like I said, going to be following him. Tony Hilbrands going to fall back in directly behind them and directly in front of the 85 truck of Cody Welch. Cody's going to see if he can pick him off here in these next couple of corners.
Yeah, we've seen before, especially at these mile-and-a-half tracks, momentum's such a big thing. If you start dropping back spots, chances are you're going to keep losing those spots, and Cody Welch going to try to capitalize in just a moment. Just to answer series driver in the 84, David Lakey's question there in the YouTube chat, Tony is 34 spots back of Bret Guzik for the championship lead, which means that mathematically he is unfortunately unable to win tonight with the number of drivers, and he would need Bret to finish last, and with Bret winning the pole tonight, he is mathematically locked it up that Tony can unfortunately not compete for the championship. But what a season it's been for Tony. And I think at this point, Evan, we've seen in the past, but whether it was Brandon winning at Darlington and that, feel-good drive after his struggles at Pocono that took him out of the round of 8, or any other situation. We've had a lot of guys with some great comeback drives after some adversity. It just feels great after you get eliminated from something like that to go out there and prove something to yourself and win like Tony could do tonight at Charlotte. Side by side now go the two GFR Racing teammates. Foster and Nickerson once again. Is Nick going to get a little bit more luck this time? Just got by, just made up a little bit of ground on Eddie Hagge, and he will. So Nick back past Kevin Foster there, up into the top 3. So again, that momentum situation. And, I think, thinking about Nick, how well he qualified, and actually surprised he qualified down there in 5th, but the amount of time he put in this week, I'm almost thinking that it's got to be a case of just Nick has been practicing conservation, race pace, rather than just qualifying strategy. And we're seeing that right now. Looks like he's got a little bit more grip, a little bit more tire, left on that 2 truck than maybe the 8 and the 97 do. Though Foster and Hagge are staying with him. But we've seen in the past, Evan, I think that's just what makes Nick such a great driver, is that long-term pace and somebody that can just dominate entire races rather than rattling off poles each and every week.
Yeah, Nick is good at being fast, but he's also good at being slow, if you guys know what I mean by that. And that's something that's really important with racing. You need to know how slow you can be and still win the race, because going out there and being fast, we've seen a bunch of drivers that do that, and they're great drivers. They look great until their tires wear off or until they run out of fuel and they burn their stuff up. Nick is really, right now, it seems like he's saving, and that's one of the things that he's really good at. He's just hanging in a position where he's safe, he's feeling good, he's comfortable right now. He's not letting those guys get too far out in front of him, but he knows that there's going to be another caution, so he can just kind of hang out, ride, and save everything that he can for the end of the race.
The only thing that I think has to be agonizing for Nick is if you're the driver of the number 2 truck right now, you're watching your championship rival Bret Guzik drive off into the distance. Bret and Michael, we haven't talked about Michael Ramos yet, but Michael Ramos keeping up with your championship leader, your pole sitter, the guy that's been dominating so far. Michael's right on his tail, so that top 2 is off to a great start, but Nick just watching his title rival drive into the distance, you gotta think it's tough on him to know that he is the guy he has to beat. Not only does he have to, stay close to Bret and finish in a similar spot, he's got to beat him. He's got to make up 3 spots, and the further away Bret gets, the tougher that gets for Nick. And I think there's definitely some truth to that. David saying the same thing in the chat. I think Nick is really thinking the long game, and he's backed the field up. Look at the pack of cars behind Nick Nickerson right now. It's the 2 truck, and then it's Kevin Foster, then it's Eddie Hagge, then it's a side-by-side between Cody Welch and Tony Hilbrands in turn 4. Joshua McQuiggan's getting involved in that as well. Benjamin Lacey, former championship driver. It is a crazy battle. McQuiggan makes contact with the wall a little bit. That's going to let Hilbrands and Lacey and Cale Zook by. So Cale Zook up into the top 9. Christopher Ferrara can creep his way into the top 10 right here. Brandon Jackson's involved. Matt Crockett's at the back of this train. But Nick has truly backed this pack up into such a small little area. This could be good for him, but if guys start making the move on him, he's stuck in a very busy pack right now.
And the good thing for Nick is that he's got Kevin Foster directly behind him. Kevin Foster, he wants to get by him. He wants to do good in this race, but he's not going to put Nick in a precarious situation. That's for sure.
Right.
He's definitely not going to try and make a crazy move on Nick. So Nick knows that he's really safe where he's at right now, and he's somewhere that he can save tires. Now, when somebody gets by Kevin, that's going to be a different story, and then he's really going to have to kind of turn up the energy, turn up the pace. But the thing is, I don't think Kevin's going to let anybody get by him. I think Kevin is going to turn up that pace when he needs to, and then he'll tell Nick, hey, you need to turn up the pace a little bit. And I feel like we're about to see this here in a minute. We've got Cody Welch right behind Kevin Foster, and Cody's definitely going to be putting a lot of pressure on Kevin and then on Nick.
Yeah, just a great move by Cody Welch there in turns 3 and 4, getting by Tony Hilbrands down the inside. So I think Cody's the guy with the pace right now. Side by side further back is Lacey and Hagge. The 7 truck just going underneath the 97. Same with Cale Zook now in the 44. Wondering if Eddie's just having some trouble conserving tires there, and he's just got a lack of grip compared to the guys around him. But keeping an eye again here between this battle that I think is, as you say, Evan, going to be important tactically between Kevin Foster and Cody Welch. Up front, Bret Guzik and Michael Ramos continuing to pull away. The gap now up to, well, 2.7 seconds ahead of Kevin Foster right now. There goes Cody peeking to the inside. This could be his chance. Gets the nose under in the 85. This is an important corner for him. Turn 1, side by side. 85 truck gets a nose in front. He's got the lead, but can he clear up in front of the 8 truck coming off of turn number 2? He can. Big move from the 85. Huge block on the 8, but he gets it done. And I gotta think he probably won't be too far behind Nick as well, seeing the pace that truck's got. Nick goes high. Almost wondering, could he be letting potentially the 85 truck by? You know, they had that strategy, but it is falling apart. Benjamin Lacey just got Hilbrands. Now he's about to get Foster. Things are starting to get racy here at Charlotte.
Yeah, Tony Hilbrands, he kind of got stuck up on the top. Tony had really been working with Cody Welch and following him throughout each corner, but he got stuck up on the top behind Kevin Foster, and he's going to stay stuck up there. Lacey's gone by. Brandon Jackson's now to his inside.
The sun continuing to go down here at Charlotte. We're getting towards the, well, about a quarter portion of this race, actually halfway, about 30%. So it has been a great race so far. Benjamin Lacey now, I think, is going to officially get the move done on Kevin Foster. Brandon Jackson coming with him as well. Action Jackson gets by Hilbrands, might even get by Foster here if he can keep that inside momentum. Side by side, the top 2 in last year's championship. Here's Welch's shot at the top 3. Nickerson still running the high line, conserving more tires, you got to think. Welch slots up in front. The 85 won't have the momentum off of turn number 2, but he does have the spot. They are 2.5 seconds back of your race leaders, Guzik and Ramos. But now, Welch gets by last year's title rival, and you got to think that's somewhat of a cathartic experience there for the 85, getting by Nick considering last season.
Yeah, that's definitely got to feel good for him, but he knows that there's more to it than that. He knows that he's got to keep pushing. He wants to get up there and catch Bret Guzik, I'm sure. But Nick Nickerson, now he's got the 7 of Benjamin Lacey down there to his inside. Brandon Jackson now poking his nose under there as well. We'll see if Nick keeps riding that high line and kind of seemingly conserving tires. He's not going to. Down to the bottom. Under Lacey now. Did the crossover move. Now he's going to be side by side with him down on the inside.
Lacey, though, should contain the momentum, and yeah, he does. Capes in front of him. The 7 truck gets the better of that battle. Brandon Jackson gets another spot. Kevin Foster continues to fall back a little bit, and whatever defense he was providing there for Nick, a bit of a shield, has since kind of dissipated. The 8 truck up to the top side. Tony Hilbrands might get him as well. I think I'm almost kind of surprised, you know, Evan, because I thought with all the, you know, the tire wear that, or the, you know, the tire wear that he's been saving, you know, the tire conservation by the 2 truck, I would have thought he would have more grip there on the inside of the line. Would have thought he'd have more traction on the 7 truck, might be able to hold that spot, but he's going to lose another one to Brandon. And again, if this is still tactical, if this is still him conserving, he's got to limit how many guys he's letting by, because that's another guy. If Tony Hilbrands gets him, now he finds himself in 7th. And at a certain point, sure, you're conserving tires, but this is still a lot of very difficult, very competitive trucks you'd have to get by.
Yeah, you saw there he tried to hop in front of Tony Hilbrands, not let him get by there, but Tony had his nose in. Nick took him all the way down to the apron really before Tony got his nose in there and was able to finally get by him. We'll see if Nick actually turns it up a little bit more now. And he's going to head to pit road. Nick Nickerson on pit road. Bret Guzik on pit road as well.
Yeah, your championship top 2 now on to pit road. I was just about to say the pit cycle here in terms of fuel, about 28 to 30 laps at Charlotte. We were just about to come to the end of it, and now we have. So Bret Guzik on pit road, Nick Nickerson coming with him. Then Cale Zook, your top 2. Interesting, actually, how many guys stay out. So Michael Ramos will stay out in the 27 truck. Former playoff contender, made it to the round of 8 this season. 27 truck going to stay out, going to pit this time. So he should lead exactly 1 lap, which will at least be a bonus point. I'm actually surprised. Well, maybe not that Brandon Jackson stayed out, though. I actually go. Cody was ahead of him. Honestly, and you know, Evan, I think that just to guarantee some extra bonus points, you know, Cody could have stayed out that extra lap, picked up the bonus point for leading a lap, and he'd find himself one spot closer to his goal. So, kind of interesting maneuver, but that's the thing, you know, pit strategy and bonus points tonight going to be so important when it comes to leading the most laps, getting that extra bonus point for fastest lap, for leading a lap at all. And Bret Guzik, he's been, you know, racking up the laps led early here tonight. You got to think he's just dominating that battle with Nick for that bonus point.
It is. I feel like if I was in Bret's shoes, I would want to do the same thing. If you go out there, you make sure that you lead the most laps, then that makes sure that Nick can't lead the most laps, and that's just one more point that Bret can get.
You know, that's actually the thing we got to think about. If Bret leads until lap, okay, you know, every lap that he doesn't lead now is going to hurt, but only the guys that pitted on that last pit stop are going to be able to stay out. Currently, our race leader is Gary Moore Jr. sitting there in the 89 truck. A frequent of the series kind of joined here late, and he's sitting right in front of Bret, who should coast by him on those new tires. He will indeed. The 04 truck just going to shoot by 3 sets of new tires in the pits for each driver, so you shouldn't have to go any cycles without taking a fresh set of tires. So we should have, relatively few cautions based on tire grip late in the race. But if you're Bret, if you get him, say, in 2 laps back in the lead, and you lead to lap 60, you've done it. You don't have to worry about that bonus point anymore, and then it can become just all about strategy and strategizing for the end of the race. Here he goes past Cody Welch, actually. So Cody Welch, very interesting, because they did just pit at the same time. Cody pitted a lap later. Bret considerably more pace right now. I don't know if that's just momentum there based on having an extra lap to get up to speed, but no, Cody not really keeping with him here through turn 1 either, unless he's conserving a lot harder. The yellow comes out though, actually. So interesting enough on strategy. Who is that was involved? Seen a couple names here. Peter Murphy has gone off track. Where is he on the circuit? But caution number 3, and considering especially, the 38 truck you see there having some trouble keeping it under him. But strategically, Ricky Hart was still on track. He hadn't pitted yet. Might be a free pit stop for some guys, and for anybody that went 2 laps down, that might be their hopes at the win, coming to a premature end. So let's go to the replay here, see what happened to Peter Murphy there on that last lap that brought it our 3rd caution. Don't think it was an actual wreck, but something certainly went wrong for him. Oh, there we go. No, it was a proper wreck. So, okay, let's go back a little ways. Coming off of turn number 4. So in the middle there, I believe that is Andrew Zook in the 07 truck. On the bottom is fellow Kale Zook in the 44. Jason Greenwell as well. We went 4 wide there temporarily. And I think that was the issue, was just Andrew kind of ricocheting off of Kale Zook, trying to avoid. He bounced up into Peter Murphy, who slid across the grass. And actually a fairly spotless number 38 truck despite that whole wreck. So Peter Murphy just had to get the truck under him. Had very grassy tires, but managed to keep it on track. Didn't hit anybody else. A little bit of steering difficulty you can see there for him, but caution based purely off a spin. He keeps it going, and Peter stays on track. But regardless, what's important for our purposes, Evan, is that it brings out the 3rd caution of the night.
Yeah, and back to our playoff drivers, Bret Guzik is going to be in 9th position right now. 10th is going to be Cody Welch. 11th is going to be Nick Nickerson, and those are the final 3 guys on the lead lap. Michael Ramos is 1 lap down, so he should be your lucky dog here. Tony Hilbrands was 1 lap down before that. Tony Hilbrands back in 14th position. So Bret's going to be 9th, Cody's going to be 10th, Nick is going to be 11th, Tony is going to be 14th. A quick look at your playoff drivers, and of course that will change once these guys hit pit road and everything cycles back around.
Well, I think the important thing to remember is for this next restart, provided nobody pits, it's going to be Guzik, Welch, and Nickerson, your top 3 on the restart. And what a battle that's going to be. Probably the biggest and most impactful of the season. We'll get to that in just a moment. But, well, Evan, it's been kind of your staple all season. We had to do quite a few of them at the beginning of the year. And unfortunately, with, recently, being busy, we both were, I know, for quite a long time. We just didn't get the opportunity. But tonight, for the final race of the year, Charlotte, as the sun goes down, we're going to see it's such a beautiful track. You see the night lighting up there up top with the stage lights. But Charlotte, an all-time classic racetrack here in NASCAR or any series. But in the Bandit Racing League, and in the Bandit Racing League, we've had some great races here in the past at both the oval and the roval. So for the final time, Evan, how about you walk us through tonight's track preview for the season finale at Charlotte?
Sounds good. Like you said, an all-time classic racetrack, and fittingly named America's home for racing. Charlotte Motor Speedway opened up in 1960. It is classic 1.5 miles, and tonight we are running 109 laps. That equals out to be 163.5 miles. Banking in the turns, it's banked 24 degrees. On the straightaways, it's banked 5 degrees. So not banked as much as we've seen some tracks, but it's definitely not flat either. And last year, who won other than Mr. Nick Nickerson, driver of the 2 truck himself? He's hoping that he can do it again this year, but like we've talked about plenty, Bret Guzik is going to try and make sure that doesn't happen. So is Cody Welch.
So is Cody Welch, and the driver of the number 85 now finds himself on pit road. He's going to pit only about 5 laps into a pit cycle there. So interesting move here from Cody Welch. Working the math out, it's about a 28 to 30 lap pit cycle. So you do 2 of those quickly, that's 60 laps, puts him at lap 103. We get about 3 cautions, and he can make it pretty comfortably on fuel. So it's risky for track position. And in this series, I don't like moves that put guys too far back on track in terms of track position, where you're going to put yourself in the middle of the pack, surrounded by lap cars or something like that. But depending on how this works out with the laps, and we got to see whether drivers end up a lap down based on that last caution or not. It all depends on where they're sitting relative to the pace truck. But if, as he might, Cody ends up in the 11th spot as he's currently sitting, despite that free pit stop, at that point, I don't think it's a bad strategic move. Might cut a pit stop out later. And we've already seen, and people are alluding to it, Cody seemed to be pretty good at conserving tires in that last stop. And I think considering how different his situation is to that of the top two, that being he's 11 points back, I don't think it's a bad idea tonight, Evan, for Cody to kind of switch the strategy up a little bit, do something different than the top two.
I completely agree. He's 11 points back from Bret, now 12 points back from Bret, really, with Bret being on the pole. So you've got to do something different. You know you can't do the same thing as them. Why not try some things? You've got nothing to lose. I feel like this is a smart move from Cody.
One lap to go here till the restart. Going to be on lap 45 by the time we go back to green. And it's going to be side by side. Bret Guzik versus Nick Nickerson. Your two championship contenders separated by 2 points heading into tonight's finale. And they're going to share the front row on the restart. This is, I think, going to be make or break. And, you know, I'm really curious to see what the game plan is here. You know, Nick looked quite conservative there early. He was trying to conserve tires. That was his big priority there in that last stint. Bret was a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more gung-ho. He said, let's just go for it. Let's drive away. Kind of brought Michael Ramos with him. But now we're on an even playing field. Guys pitted at the same lap. They both have fresh tires. Is it going to be about track position? Is it going to be about long-term strategy? I'm curious to know from you, Evan, you know, what are you expecting in this battle as the two championship contenders who, again, need to not wreck? Because if you're Cody Welch, this is exactly the situation you want. But I'm curious to know how hard they're going to fight, considering that it is going to be a 30-lap stint and tire wear is important.
Honestly, I feel like they're not going to fight too hard. If it was me, I wouldn't fight too hard. I feel like Bret is going to fight pretty hard. Bret wants to go lead the most laps. I would assume he's already led a lot. But Nick, I feel like Nick is probably going to slot in and just kind of ride for the rest of this, hoping that he can come away with the win here at the end. But we'll see. The pace truck is off. We're ready to go green. Bret Guzik firing away in a big jump already for Bret Guzik. A couple car lengths out in front. Nick Nickerson going to slide in directly behind him.
And we are off. A number of drivers here coming from the lap down based on pit strategy are given extra track position. So everybody from Gary Moore down to Steve Ulrich and Ricky Hart and Gary Wright are all going to be on kind of an alternative strategy here to these guys who just pitted recently. Same with Cody Welch, who you saw pitted on that last caution. But for now, Bret and Nick both getting fairly good jumps. Bret pretty far in front there, about 2 car lengths in that first lap. Nick not quite making up the benefit of the slipstream as we might have expected. But tonight here at Charlotte, definitely a track where dirty air has played a part and will continue to further on in the race. It's definitely an aerodynamic track where you're going to see here, Nick's going to drop in behind Bret, but Bret should be able to conserve more momentum off the oval. But Nick is hard charging. Great run off of turn number 2. Going to have the slipstream in the run down to turn number 3. Don't think he'll make the inside move yet, but right on the back bumper. Nick is trying to negate the aerodynamic, deficiency there by just sitting right behind Bret, acting like an extension of that 04 truck. As we come across the line, this battle for the title is a battle on track at the moment, and it is a fun one to watch. The 04 in the 2 truck, guys that have battled all season. Remember the finish at Eldora, where they battled it out to the finish just ahead of Cody Welch, who is currently not made up any momentum as of yet, hasn't gained any spots since that last pit stop. But for the moment, this is the battle we want to see. And Gary Moore, who's had a very quiet race, kind of a quiet season so far, but he's been quite good overall. Has had some top 10s in his time in the series. He is in the battle right now. The 89 truck actually a better run than Nick Nickerson got that last time by. We'll see if he's going to factor into this battle for the lead.
Yeah, Nick went up to the top line that lap. We'll see if he continues to do this through the turns. Looks like he's going to. Yeah, going into 1 and 2. Up on the high side, Bret Guzik down on the bottom.
Yeah, so starting to switch the strategies up again. Nick, I think just going into conservation mode. I think this is what we talked about, Evan, with those differing strategies where they're not going to try to fight on track too much. It's actually not a problem for Nick. I was going to say it might be an aerodynamic disadvantage for Nick if you're just sitting behind the race leader all this time, but if Bret's going to the bottom, you're going to the top. You're not actually in his wake at all. You're not taking his dirty air and pushing you up towards that outside wall. Really the only guy here I think is actually pushing flat out, because Bret as well doesn't seem to be attacking the apexes as much as you'd expect for somebody on the bottom line. I almost think Gary is just kind of pushing to stay with these guys, maybe stay on the slipstream, get the benefit down the straightaways. Might not be too interested in attacking them in the corners, but I'd say if the 89 gets an opportunity to get both guys at once, he might go for it. And as well, Jason Greenwell not too far back in the 83 truck sitting there in 4th. He's had a really good season as well. He was a playoff driver who almost won at Michigan. Not too far back here. The 83 is in the equation, has some rear side damage, but thanks to that strategy call he made that paid off with that 3rd caution, he's at least in the equation in tonight's race. That's a pretty cool thing considering it's championship night.
And now you see Nick attacking just a little bit more. Nick, he's really cutting it close. As I say that, of course, he goes up to the top line, but he was running the bottom line these past couple of corners and really cutting it down on the dog leg. He caught the grass just a little bit that last time through. So it looked like Nick may have been pushing for just a second. Maybe he doesn't. Nick probably wants to conserve, but he also probably doesn't want Bret to conserve too much, trying to push a little bit, stay on Bret's rear bumper, maybe hope Bret makes a mistake, maybe hope Bret pushes just a little bit too hard. It looks like he's kind of riding the line between conserving and pushing there in second place.
Just a quick playoff driver update. Something really bizarre right now. And again, if this is a strategic move, maybe it's more of a masterclass than I think it is, but the 85 truck, no considerable damage. I'm not seeing that he's had any contact with the wall, but he has fallen back a number of spots. He's currently in 20th as we speak. Remember, he started 11th on the restart. He's just dropping spots back one by one. Maybe it's a conservation thing. Maybe just conserving tires for later in the run. Maybe expects to get a late race restart. Again, not a bad idea if it's an alternate strategy call, but he is a ways back there, losing pace to Jackson Knock. I think Nolan Gross might take a shot at him in a minute. Very unusual stuff we're seeing here at Charlotte right now.
Yeah, we definitely know that Cody is fast. Cody had the speed that first run to really be up with these guys in the top pack. So we'll have to watch as this race plays out and keep an eye on him, because there's definitely some strategy going on in the 85 camp, if I had to guess.
Yeah, now he's 3 wide there for just a moment. You see there on screen, Nolan Gross and Sean Brick going to go around either side of him. I don't know what the game plan is here. You know, no visible cosmetic damage for him. Nolan Gross going to back out, but Bret is going to get the pass done. And the 85 just dropping spot. Look at how off the pace he is in the corners. Like, I'm just fascinated. He's so off the pace that I think it's actually a danger to his own race. I think he's almost putting himself at risk that these guys run into him. So whatever is going on for Cody Welch, it is not ideal at the moment. And again, all the Cody Welch fans in the chat there, they've seen Cody have situations like this season where he's still managed to persevere. So maybe you guys are just used to it. Maybe you're not all that worried about what this is, but crazy how far off the pace he was there a moment ago. This is getting exciting. Gary Moore down to the inside on Nick Nickerson, who backed off by about 1/10 of Bret. And that little, almost a car length, not even, that amount of space might be what kills him. The 89 truck down to the bottom gets the move done on Nick Nickerson. So Moore up into second. Nickerson trying to fight back on the top side. Then he's got John Graham and Jason Greenwell to worry about. The 96 and the 83 battling for the 4th and 5th spots. This is getting exciting. And again, it's the strategic difference between these guys in the playoffs, just going for the big picture, and these guys in the short term who just want a moment in the spotlight. You just want a podium or a first career win. The 89 truck is in that camp right now. Got the move done on Nick. And now if you're Nick Nickerson, you got one more guy you got to worry about. You got a truck between you and the championship rival you're trying to beat.
Yeah, I'm sure that Nick didn't exactly want that to happen, but at the same time, I feel like Nick is probably just saving. He's gonna let it happen. And honestly, if you're in Nick's camp, you're probably hoping that Gary D. Moore gets up there, gets on the back bumper of Bret Guzik, and really pushes Bret Guzik to run a harder race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very good point. Bret, really this entire race, and another notable point, he's getting towards that official status for leading the most laps, lap 57. With all those laps he lost earlier because of the pit cycle and new drivers leading there, I'm going to guess he needs to get to about lap 65 before he officially leads the most laps of anybody in the race as he gets past half. So Bret's getting towards that point, and I think you're exactly right, Evan. I think somebody just needs to challenge Bret. I think that's all Nick wants, because since the beginning, he dominated before. Michael was keeping with him, but didn't quite have the pace to make it by, although Michael Ramos currently sits in 7th. But yeah, just didn't have the pace to get by him. And Nick, was content to just ride in behind. He didn't seem too worried. But if Bret is just up there by himself, knows he's not under pressure, he can take whatever line he wants, conserve tires passively rather than making it an official strategy. And I just think that's the worst thing for Nick possible, is if Bret just coasts to a win, just goes smooth sailing. I hate to say it, but he'd kind of be driving a Nick Nickerson style of race, as we see John Graham going to the bottom of the 2 truck, your defending series champion. And I believe he's going to get the move done, depending on the run he gets. Actually, Nick got a great run off of turn 4, so we're side by side across the line. Great battle we're watching here, but very interesting race from Nick Nickerson's perspective.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is something that Nick really doesn't need. He really doesn't need to be running side by side right now. And there you see the 96 able to make the move done, get the move done, and get in front of Nick Nickerson. He's going to be up to third position. Nick back to fourth. He's going to have Ricky Hart Jr. on his tail now. Always a fast driver in the 64 truck behind him.
And again, remember, these are the last two champions in the series, the two in the 64 in Season 7, Nick in Season 8, and Ricky Hart Jr. down to the bottom. Maybe one last goodbye to his former, series rival. They battled it out this season all throughout the playoffs, and again, they're the last two champions of the series. Ricky going to give him another shot next year in the Xfinity trucks in Season 10, but right now he is going to get the move done. And again, I think any truck that passes Nick, strategy or not, is one more truck he has to worry about later in the race. Remember that everybody in this spot has all pitted on approximately the same lap. In fact, everybody in front of him who just passed Nick has pitted more recently than he has. So, if you want to be, getting into semantics, then technically Gary Moore, John Graham, and Ricky Hart are all statistically better drivers at the moment than Nick Nickerson are. You could put it that way, but Ricky Hart, side by side, this battle is not over either. Guys keep getting by him, he's given them the opportunities, Evan, but none of these battles look easy. Nick is fighting them for it, but again, Ricky gets the better of him. Now your championship leader heading into the playoffs, not so much heading into tonight, is now only down in 5th spot.
Yeah, fight there and a fight up front as well. Bret Guzik fighting hard to try and keep that first position. Gary Moore right on his rear bumper, lap in and lap out. That 89 truck wants to get up to the lead. The 04 Bret Guzik doesn't want to give it up.
No, and especially because Bret is only a couple laps away from officially leading the most laps. Depending on when he comes into the pits, if he goes a couple laps long, he could officially clinch it. And yeah, this is just clutch driving from Bret Guzik. And again, we talked about earlier tonight, Evan, how clutch Bret's been in the playoffs. He's just kicked it up to another gear, bumped his average finish up almost 3 spots, and quite a large sample size. And yet still putting himself in the spot. Big block on the 89 truck who got a good run off the fourth turn into the tri-oval. He's making it work. Mason Flagart goes up to the top line. The 72 truck going to weave out of the way. But Bret has just found another gear this season, and we're seeing it again tonight, as I just said, running a very Nick Nickerson sort of race. And speaking of Nick, he gets back by Ricky, but I don't feel like that's going to last too long here. The 64 truck peeks to the inside.
Yeah, Nick obviously is fighting pretty hard. If he got past Ricky Hart Jr., Ricky maybe decided that he needed to save a little bit as well. But yeah, a battle here. Ricky Hart Jr. behind Nick Nickerson, Ricky in 4th, Nick in 4th, Ricky in 5th. Bret Guzik still up in the lead. And looking at your other playoff drivers, Tony Hilbrands all the way back in 22nd position. Cody Welch a little bit in front of him in 19th position.
Yeah, Cody's made up a couple spots there since dropping all the way back to 23rd for a period of time, but he has just looked out of it there on this current stint. Again, it could be a strategy call, but so much ground that he's dropped back. I question it a little bit, but if he thinks he can save a stop, again, that's the important thing. If Cody thinks he can make this a one-stop race versus everybody else's 2 stops, I think it's a good plan. I think we're getting to that point where it is viable if guys are just starting to pit, and he is this far off in terms of fuel. We saw he was lifting real hard earlier. Then maybe there's something to it, but it's a big gamble, Evan. It's got to be tactical. He's got to be very confident in how much he's going to make up to go for it. But speaking of pit stops, here he comes. Nick Nickerson onto pit road. Came in a little bit hot. You saw the back end wiggling around. We saw last year Nick get a pit road penalty, not in the finale, but just a couple races before it at Road America. Really hope he didn't just take one there. That would be crushing for the 2 truck in his fight for the title. But pits earlier than anybody else on the strategy, and usually Evan, Nick is one of the last guys in pit road. He prioritizes fuel and tire conservation. But tonight he seems a little bit more eager to conserve the tires, but burn up the fuel a little bit quicker.
Yeah, he is kind of speeding up when everybody else is coming to pit. Bret Guzik, we'll see if he comes down this time, but he's still battling up at the front with Gary D. Moore, and it looks like Bret Guzik is going to come down this time. He's on the back straightaway right now, so he should be diving down. And I'm hearing that there are a couple of drivers wrecking. No caution as of right now. Tony Hilbrands saying that there was a couple drivers wrecking, but I don't see anything, and no caution as of right now. Bret Guzik going to dive down onto pit road.
So Gary Moore in the 89 truck will finally take over the lead after a number of laps following in behind race leader Bret Guzik, and Bret comes down pit road. You'll see here on board as he pulls into his spot. And the important question is, where will he cycle out relevant to Nick Nickerson? We've seen guys in the past take 2 tires, take 4 tires in a bid for track position just to get in front of somebody. I think Charlotte is an easy enough passing track that that's not a viable strategy to try to hold off a guy. Do an undercut on tires, take less tires than somebody, and then try to beat him on track. I think a guy on newer tires is always going to win a battle here at Charlotte, but could be close. Where is Nick on track? Just coming off of turn 4, so it's going to be close. I think Nick might actually get him. In which case, what a stop it would have been for Nick Nickerson. In and out laps have been a strength of his in the past. Bret coming back on track. Nick coming through turn number 2. It's going to be close. The 2 truck goes straight by him. Goodbye, Bret Guzik. Championship rival Nick Nickerson is only 1 spot ahead. Again, he needs more spots than that to take the title, but for the time being, what a pit in, pit out lap it must have been for Nick Nickerson. And now Bret's stuck in traffic, including Nick's GFR Racing teammate, Kevin Foster. The worst possible scenario for Bret Guzik is coming true right now.
Yeah, things have gone bad for Bret Guzik all of a sudden. There's still plenty of time left in this race, but it is not looking good for Bret right now. Nick has a big lead on him.
Cody Welch just down to pit road as we speak. Gary Moore, as well as Matt Crockett, John Graham. Again, Cody Welch there on pit road as we speak. Benjamin Lacey as well. Playoff driver Tony Hilbrands on pit road. So a number of guys making their, well, second to last stops of the race. And again, Cody, we thought was saving fuel, but now he pits on the same lap as everybody else. So don't know what the issue's been for Cody Welch, but if it's damaged, sincerely hoping he gets it fixed on this next stop, because with the pace he had in that last stint, he's essentially out of contention at this point. Just highlighted by Charles Oberg, actually, a guy having a very quietly good race, just heading down to pit road, but Brandon's been kind of all throughout the order, but Brandon Jackson dropped back quite a ways a little bit earlier, but has since made up some spots to 8th. Not a bad race overall for Action Jackson, a guy who has been in and out throughout the playoffs since he was eliminated at Pocono, but what a year he's had. You know, a playoff 4 driver, or almost a playoff 4 driver last season in the Xfinity cars. Didn't love those, didn't love the trucks this season, so the question becomes, what does Brandon like? But we're going back to him next year. He feels a little bit more confident for season 10, but right now I'm sure he'd like to end off this season at a top 5 performance, and he is doing so right now. Another guy I want to highlight as well, I've been trying to talk about him a little bit more this season, but Jason Greenwell has had a great year from start to finish, and almost won it at Michigan earlier this year. And he's going to lead a couple laps with, granted, a damaged truck, but well-deserved for Jason Greenwell, who I believe is going to lead his 3rd or 4th lap and then pull into the pits momentarily. A little bit of help here for Bret Guzik as Kevin Foster just came down to pit road that last time by, so 1 driver out of Bret's way, and probably a pretty valuable one to have out of your way for sure. You know, Nick's teammate Kevin Foster, the 8 truck, making what might be his final stop. You know, we're getting close to that point. Yellow. And a yellow flag comes out. Huge implications. That one is big. Gary Wright goes around the 6 truck, who was sitting in 2nd there until just a moment ago. Wow. Massive implication. That is a massive caution with where we were on strategy. That's big for Cody Welch, who should stay on the lead lap. Might get, you know, gain some spots because of that. Anybody who just pitted is going to be at a benefit here, but Full Send Racing.
That's really going to be big for Bret Guzik. Bret Guzik sitting in 4th, Nick Nickerson sitting in 3rd, and Nick had a huge run on Bret. Nick was probably half a straightaway ahead of Bret, and that is closed up in a matter of a caution. Yeah,
no doubt. No doubt. That's going to wipe any differences away. So that battle that was quite interesting is now kind of null and void there, but it means they're going to be right next to each other on track when we come out. This is the caution. Peter Murphy loses it coming back onto the power, out of the pits, just gets on the gas too quick, sends it around right into the path of 2 oncoming drivers. One, I think, was Bill Harkins, I believe, our very own, guy who runs the series, puts it all together, that damaged 11 truck, but that great-looking Geezer Authentic tank design there for that truck, and he just found himself with the number 38 truck sitting right in his way, heading down to turn number 1. You know, there was nowhere he was going there, and Gary Wright, unfortunately, who again was running 2nd at the time. It's been a great race overall for Gary, even with the pit stop, was going to be easily up in the top 15. It's up 32 spots from qualifying. Here's the perspective on the number 6 truck. You're just driving to turn number 1, and suddenly there's a truck in your way, and there's not much more you can do about it than that. Just terrible luck there, and we've seen that for a number of guys this season. We've said it for Tony Hilbrands all year. That's plagued him for a large part of the season. Cody Welch has had his share of that, but yeah, sometimes racing is racing, Evan, and I think that was the case for Gary Wright right there.
Yeah, sometimes things just happen. Like you said, can't really do anything about it. But that just made this race a whole lot more interesting.
Yes. With
the caution coming out, Nick Nickerson, 1st place. Bret Guzik, 2nd.
That's all you need to know is that your top 2 in the championship formerly were battling under strategy. You know, they had at least 1 pit stop to go. But if we get 2 more cautions even, I think the guys are comfortable on fuel. You know, they both pitted on lap 65. It's been a while. They will need 1 more pit stop, honestly. We've gone a lap, I think, under pit cycles here. I think Peter and Bill, both pitting, who I guess would have jumped back to pit road. This might actually be the first lap they're able to come down to pit road. I think the game plan here would be to pit. I think if you're one of these two guys, I understand you're giving up track position. I know I'm the guy that always talks about don't give up track position, don't put yourself behind the 8 ball. It's a huge risk, but it'd be your last pit stop of the race. It'd be close, but you'd be banking on a caution, which, what do we always say, Evan? Cautions breed cautions. I think we're going to get. I think it's a good plan. Nick is going to stay out. Is Bret going to go? He does not. So they are going to be top 2 in the next restart. Jason Greenwell took a quick repair and pitted and is on newer tires than anybody and is now on track in 3rd place. What a race it's been for Jason Greenwell. This has worked out perfectly for him. Same with Eddie Hagge, who pitted on lap 60, so slightly older tires, but certainly in a good spot for himself. Cody Welch, where has he gone? He's sitting in 17th. This race strategically has just not gone the way Cody wanted it to go. I mean, again, we can never count him out. He's the comeback kid for a reason, but you got to think that charge for that first win since Rockingham in season 8, that drought that we've talked about all season, he's come so close to breaking. He was one wreck away from winning at Texas with 1 corner to go. It's going to carry over to next season in the Xfinity Series for season 10. It'll be interesting to watch, and I wonder if next season is the year that Cody's just got a fire under him, that he just drives his heart out all season, gets all those wins, and finally gets that championship. I don't mean to jinx him, but unfortunately, it just doesn't look like it's going to be tonight. I think 17th this far in the race, just a little bit too far back for my liking.
Yeah, I completely agree, Marshall.
Just gonna put up on screen here again the former champions of the series, in case you're just joining the broadcast, or if you're not too familiar with the history of the series. I know it's something we try to touch upon. We try to use stats and reference guys past in the series since really season 8. That's when I first got involved, and I know Evan's been here since season 7. But it's interesting to look back and see the history of the series in the big picture since the start of the Bandit Racing League. And the Bandit Racing League has been around for, again, a very long time. And well, there were your first 8 champions, and tonight we look to crown a 9th. So Daniel Grice there, your first champion. Kevin Foster in season 2. Cody Webster in season 3. Jonathan Platt, who you may recognize, in season 4 was your champion all the way back. This is before it was broadcasted. Kevin Foster then won his 2nd title in season 5. Carl Handwerk in season number 6. In season 7, the first broadcasted season with Evan Wall Media doing the broadcasting back then. It was Ricky Hart Jr. who took away the championship win on that occasion. And then last season, if you've been here for only a couple months, about 8 months since the start of that season, it was Nick Nickerson who took away the title in season number 8. And again, tonight, he looks to do it again, looks to go back-to-back, could become the first ever back-to-back champion in series history. But in order to do it, he's going to have to make up some spots on Bret Guzik, only setting 1 spot ahead. And we are 1 lap away from the restart. It's going to be 32 laps to go. So we're getting there towards 1 pit stop remaining. A couple guys like Jason Greenwell might be able to make it on 1 stop. It'll be interesting if we don't get a caution to the finish, but I bet we will. Nickerson, Guzik, Greenwell, Gary Wright still going to start 4th despite the wreck, and Eddie Hagge. There are your top 5 as we get ready to go green.
Yeah, 77, or lap 77 of 109. Pace truck is off, and Nick Nickerson is off as well. Huge jump for Nick Nickerson, though, for Bret Guzik is going to fall in directly behind him. Jason Greenwell and Gary Wright going to single file up directly behind those guys, but a couple car lengths ahead is Nick Nickerson from Bret Guzik. Your top 2 in the championship, running 1 and 2 in the race right now.
Yeah, Nick was so comfortably ahead that he was a full car length ahead coming across the line there. It just didn't seem like Bret Guzik got up to speed whatsoever. And now Nick going to start leading laps. And again, I think Bret got far enough that I think he's comfortable. I think he's got the most laps led bonus locked up in his pocket, so there's a bonus point for him. He'd be 4 ahead of Nick at this point. So Nick can drive ahead all he wants, and I think he's really going to put the pedal down now, but Nick needs more than that. He needs to just take some points, squeeze any last point he can out of it. And in order to do that, he needs Bret to not be right behind him. And right now, Jason Greenwell not seemingly putting up a fight, though he is still sitting in 3rd in a very respectable spot for the 83 track. So coming to 30 laps to go here this time by. Not many laps left. Again, 30 laps left in the entirety of Bandit Racing League Season 9. Bret Guzik, the 04, 2 wins on the season, a number of podiums. The guy we've prided on being consistent for such a long time. It has all paid off this season, and he is 30 laps away from dethroning defending champion Nick Nickerson but Nick is the guy in control of the race. He's your current race leader, and if anything happens to Bret, if somebody's able to, you know, go through the field, make up some track position, and get by him, that could change everything. So we will see what happens, of course, but coming to 29 laps to go, Nick still leads from Bret, but Bret has been about the exact same spot behind him this entire run. And at this point, Evan, I don't know about your perspective, but is this a conservation thing? Is this just Bret, you know, waiting to time his move, trying to conserve a little bit more? I'm curious to get your take on what you think the game plan is at this point.
I don't know. I mean, if I'm Bret right now, I feel like there's no real need to push. There's no need to put too much pressure on Nick. You know Nick's kind of saving his stuff. You might as well kind of save your stuff as well. Just make sure that you hang out there. Make sure you don't let him get too far up ahead of you, and you're good to go.
Again, I think this is more so what Nick was looking for earlier, to be, you know, seeing the 04 truck in his rearview mirror rather than up ahead of him. But it's got to be tough if you're Nick, and seeing that 04 truck, still having him be right behind you, knowing you need him to go through some adversity in order to get those points that you need to win the championship. And it kind of reminds me of, I know maybe a lot of you guys not super Formula racing fans, but Formula 1 in 2016, the finale where Lewis Hamilton was trying to back up his own teammate, Nico Rosberg, to get caught by other cars, knowing he needed to make up points via him losing spots. And I almost wonder if this is what's happening. You know, Jason Greenwell's a quick driver, but they are dropping like a stone. Greenwell making up a ton of ground this time by. I think that's what it is, because Bret's had enough. Down to the inside, Bret Guzik in the 04 truck. Gonna make the move into turn number 3. This could be the move for the championship. Will it be? Still side by side off of turn number 4. They both stay flat. Jason Greenwell could go with the guy who wins out in this battle, but the 04 and the 2 side by side. The 04 will lead the lap. Could this be the move for the championship? Bret Guzik on the inside, and he gets it done to turn number 1.
Huge move there for Bret Guzik, putting himself up into the lead, and going to continue to bolster how many laps he's led this race and bolster his position of most laps led if he doesn't have it already. But Nick Nickerson seems to be fighting back as well. Doesn't look like he was going to let it go too easy, but now Bret just pulling away.
Bret Guzik has been so clutch again all playoffs. Now 25 laps to go. Gets that spot back, and I think Nick's conservation has to be over. You know, if Bret just keeps driving away, keeps taking the lead, his only risk is lap traffic. That's the only way he can get caught in a wreck, and that's what Nick wants more than anything right now. And I know it's been an incredible season, but Nick needs to focus on Jason Greenwell now, because the 83 truck is going underneath him. And Jason Greenwell, who has yet to score a podium this season, again, almost won at Michigan. Now not only could he get a podium, but he just passed the defending champion for second place. Jason Greenwell, take a bow. He is putting him through it. And honestly, Evan, the pace he's got, he's on fresher tires. I wouldn't be surprised if he caught Bret Guzik right now.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. He's working his way up through the field. He's running fast, he's running hard, and he might be up here in the lead here in a second. But one guy that I want to talk about is Cody Welch. He's the other guy in the championship battle. A couple laps ago, he was down in 16th position. He's up to 13th. He's moving his way up right now. He's working on the 76 truck right now, working his way up. He's got some trucks in front of him, but he is working his way up forward, and he's working his way up forward pretty quick. Cody Welch may be a guy to watch here in a minute.
Yeah, knowing the potential for late race cautions, as long as Cody can be in the equation, I think it's going to be valuable. I think it could pay off for him late in the race. He is really fighting through it right now. You're right, going around the outside of Benjamin Lacey. That should be another spot right behind Eddie Haggy. That's another one if he goes low. Doesn't, goes high, but that might still pay off as well. They're going to be fairly close into the braking zone, and the 97 should still have track position. But look at the run on the outside for Welch, taking any spot he can. This should be 12th if he can get by. Will the 7 truck give him some help? He will not, but he doesn't need it. The 85 truck, yeah, Evan, we're starting to see it. He's making up some ground, and the comeback kid, as we've called him many times, it hasn't quite paid off for him this season. Hasn't got that win he needs, and oh boy, do I think he needs it tonight. He just needs to dethrone Bret Guzik, if nothing else, as your race leader. But he's fighting his way back through, and if we get some late race cautions, don't count Cody out for the win. He is back in the equation.
I'm wondering how many tires these guys had. I'm wondering if maybe that we saw Cody so slow. I'm wondering if he maybe didn't take tires. And down through the apron, somebody down through the apron, the 25 truck, I believe, right in front of Cody. Cody able to get by cleanly. But yeah, I'm wondering if maybe that when we saw Cody so slow, if maybe he didn't take tires. I'm not exactly sure how many sets of tires these guys have. So it could have possibly been that, but we'll have to see. He's definitely moved his way up quickly now up to 12th right now.
Now, they had 3. They had enough sets in the pits that they had fresh tires ready for every stop of the race. They wouldn't need to not take one. But interesting you mentioned that, Evan, because it's a bold strategy call. But if he was banking on a number of late race cautions, he thought the championship could come down to that, then he could pit late in the race on a new set of tires and make his way through the field that way, have fresher rubber than anybody, potentially by as much as 30 laps, depending on the way the race worked out. So I think it was a good plan by Cody, and if he gets a late race yellow, it's something to think about. But I think the track position, the number of spots he lost was just too great, but once he committed to it, I think he had to go for it. Nick Nickerson, final stop of his season, happening right now. Couldn't make it to the end. We kind of knew that was the case, but he is the first guy to take the jump there onto pit road. He'll take his final set of tires of the night. And I think it's almost more valuable, Evan, because the earlier Nick goes down into the pits, takes fresh tires, the more laps he can take on new rubber, the more rip he's got, or the more rubber he's got, the more grip he's got, the better lap times he can run. And theoretically, to maximize your new tires, you'd want to pit with 30 laps to go. Now he's pitting with 19 to go. I think every lap Bret doesn't pit at this point, knowing Nick did, unless he can go to the end. I think it's a mistake.
Yeah, I completely agree. We'll have to see if Bret dives down this time, or maybe Bret's hoping for a caution. Maybe he's going to pit at the caution. Don't know. Nobody knows how this is going to play out. Sometimes it's a chess match, but during this chess match, you have to gamble.
Yes. It's truly all the casino games put together as this race at Charlotte, and what a race it's been so far. The sun fully down. This is now a proper night race. 17 laps to go in the ninth season of the Bandit Racing League. It is heating up. Gary Moore Jr. coming down into the pits. Remember, he led some laps earlier in tonight's event. But Bret Guzik is the guy we're watching for. When will he pit? Does he need to? I mean, he pitted on lap 67. I don't think you can go that long. You know, I don't think we've had enough cautions to conserve that hard. I don't think it's worth it. I think you'd still rather pit and just take a splash of fuel than conserve all those laps. Take so many slow lap times. I think he's going to want to pit. And again, though, I think if you're going to do it, you got to do it soon, because every lap he stays out, Nick is back on track, and he's just going to be rattling off the quick laps. And again, now for Nick, this is very simple. He's driving for his championship, and he's got some lap trucks he's got to weave through. But I don't think you've ever seen a driver in this entire Bandit Racing League Season 9 season than Nick right now. He's going to be driving for his life, and that 2 truck is looking quick, already setting some quick lap times. Yeah,
and I'm just wondering, as of right now, Marshall, can you look through and see, do you have access to who has the fastest lap of the race so far?
That is a good question. We can put it up in the timing tower, actually. We can do that. So, fastest lap of the race. This is a bonus point. This could be valuable. Is it Guzik? 30.24. It is not. It's currently Michael Ramos, unless Nick has a better time. Let's see. 30.25. So, neither driver has the bonus point at the moment. So, that is a wash. Bret Guzik is... well, he's only 800ths of a second away from it. So if he wants to run a quick lap late on new tires, he has that option. But yeah, currently neither driver holding it. Now Bret comes down to pit road. 15 laps to go, and he makes what could be his final stop of what could be a championship season for that 04 truck.
Yeah, down on pit road as of right now, Bret Guzik is 4 points ahead of Nick Nickerson, excluding the positions on track. So 4 points ahead of Nick Nickerson. Excluding what's on track, we'll see how quick he can get in and out of pit road.
Let's see, this in and out lap is going to be crucial. Remember that last stint, we saw that Nick had made up a bunch of ground. That was like 3 seconds that last time by. About a similar gap here before they pitted this last time by. So let's see the gap. Where is Nick on track? He's just coming by right now. He is well ahead. And, you know, Evan, I was saying, again, it's not important for the championship. It's not going to be all that crucial in terms of their one-on-one battle, but I was saying, the more laps Nick ran on new tires, the further ahead he'd get. And now he's a full straightaway ahead of Bret. Like, look at Bret all the way back, just coming off of turn number 4 now. He's given up a couple spots. Christopher Hamilton now ahead, a guy that Nick recruited to the series all those months back. Benny Hogan is ahead. The 88 truck has been quick at the 1.5 miles in the past. Neither guy has pitted yet, so it's going to be a bit of a wash. But look at the truck pileup happening in front of Bret here. This could be risky, and again, I think it was crucial that he pitted there earlier, and this might come back to bite him. He's going to have to weave through quite a bit of traffic. Look, coming down to turn number 1. Look at the wall he's facing. What do you do if you're the 04 truck of Bret Guzik? I just feel bad for the guy, and we always ask it in the post-race interview to the race winner if there was a lot of traffic. How was traffic tonight? I think we know Bret Guzik's answer right now.
Yeah, this is not looking good. Bret Guzik going to make it 3 wide through the middle.
He backed out, though.
Thought about it. He backed out. He thought better of it, realized that he needed to go, but he didn't need to go that bad. He might as well wait just a second, trying to find anywhere that he could go down on the bottom. It's what he's going to try. He's going to try and follow that 96 truck. Looks like he's going to be able to do it. He's going to get even lower than try and go on the inside. But yeah, he has a wall of traffic in front of him.
We're coming to 10 laps to go next time by. Both your championship leaders have pitted for the final time tonight. So Nick Nickerson should conceptually work out as the race leader, unless by some miracle somebody like Gary Wright can make it to the end on fuel, which he's close, but Nick 20 seconds back. You got to think he can make up that time. Although, interestingly enough, that's only 4 laps away. If Gary conserves hard, we could have the biggest underdog winner, I think, of the entire season, because Gary got in the most recent wreck of the race, had a caution. That could be the craziest win I've ever seen. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on that gap. It's dropping by about a second every half lap, maybe 3/4 of a lap. So keep an eye on Gary Wright potentially, because he's currently the leader. Unless Jason Greenwell can make it to the end, he's even further ahead, 20 seconds clear of Nick. So keep an eye on a potential field strategy win here. But Nick and Bret, that is the battle. Tony and actually Brandon is ahead on track of Bret. So this battle between the 99 and the 04, this is for position, and it is on the same strategy. So Brandon could find himself in the podium as well. Not a bad way to end off his season. So there's one spot. Tony is close to making it on fuel, but he's only 5 seconds ahead. So if he's really conserving, probably going to lose some ground. But 2 spots. That's 2 points. That's 2 points, Evan. That's progress. So it's going to be close. Keep it locked here on the Full Send Racing Network coverage of the Bandit Racing League. 9 laps to go, 8 laps to go as Michael Ramos, provisional race leader, crosses the line. Again, this battle is not for the effective race lead considering fuel strategy, but it is interesting as heck to watch. Michael Ramos, he's out of fuel. Guys blowing by him in turn number 1 and 2. He's got to be out. Weaving up in front of Ricky Hart, almost making contact there. Kevin Foster will become your new race leader if he gets by Michael Ramos. Might not have even been fuel, it just could have been tires being that bad at this point in the race. They're both going to try, but again, just pitted, I think, too long ago that they can make it on fuel. Yellow flag! Benjamin Lacey involved. Who else is in that? Christopher Ferrara had just pitted. So perfect timing for the 13 truck we talked about earlier. Where is Benjamin on track? He is smoking. He is parked on the entry to pit road. That is massive. 7 laps to go. That'll be a 3-lap approximately shootout to the finish. And if you're Jason Greenwell, that's the last thing you wanted to see. I think he had a shot at the win there in a fuel strategy move. But Full Send Racing Replay presented by Perfect Shine Auto Spa, possibly your last of the season. Massive wreck in front of Benjamin Lacey. He goes end over end, does a full barrel roll spin into the outside wall. Let's see what kicked that off here. So I saw Matt Crockett, I think, got turned by somebody heading down to turn number 3. So the 10 truck of Matt Crockett, that's Kale Zook on the outside. Joshua McQuiggan on new tires flew up. I think a miscommunication there as Crockett was about to pit. Netcode caught them in a weird angle and a massive wreck between those drivers. Eddie Haggy hits the pit wall. Gary Wright actually does manage to avoid it. That could be huge for his hopes at potentially a race win tonight on strategy. But what's important, Evan, is we have our 5th caution of the night, possibly our final of the race. We are going to go 3 or 2 laps to go to the finish, and Nick already has 1 point up on Bret. That's 2 points for him. He only needs 2 more to be tonight's champion.
Yeah, a huge timing right there for that caution. And Brandon Jackson and Bret Guzik were side by side battling when that caution came out. It looked like Brandon must have had the nose on him at the last timing line. So it looks like it's going to be Michael Ramos, Kevin Foster, Nick Nickerson, Brandon Jackson, and then Bret Guzik rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, a number of those drivers, including Kevin Foster and Michael Ramos, just pitted that last time by. So it's gonna be the 2 championship contenders in the 1st and 3rd spot. Nick is gonna be on the pole heading into this final start, assuming he doesn't pit, which he shouldn't, if I had to guess. So it's gonna be Nickerson, Jackson, Guzik, Moore, Hart, Foster, Ramos, Greenwell, who is still in a good spot, pitted more recently than anybody except Michael Ramos. So that 4th row is fresh tires. Keep an eye on them to make their way through a little bit, but only 2 laps, not a ton of time to do so. And Gary Wright still 9th there. So it's been a great night for Gary. Again, if he hadn't had that last caution, potentially he and Jason, I think, could have made it to the finish, had a shot there at the win, but unfortunately it did not work out in their favor. Though still, top 10, not a bad spot to be. Christopher Hamilton, the only guy who I think is going to come down pit road this time. He hasn't pitted since lap 71, so here he comes this time. Tony Hilbrands will take over the 10th spot, and we'll try to round off what has unfortunately been an unsuccessful final round, a final championship round for the final 4 driver Tony Hilbrands, but what a way it would be to finish off the season with a top 10. The lapped cars in front of Nick, but behind the pace car, are going to get led around. We're going to have an all-out fight for the championship. What more could you ask for? I want to hear from everybody watching at home. What do you expect? Predict the finish. I'm not just asking for the winner. I am asking for what you are expecting. Is it going to be a fight to the finish? Will Nick cruise to a win, but will Bret win the championship? What is going to happen? And Evan, you make a perfect point there in the YouTube chat, though. Cautions do breed cautions. We've seen in the past, we've had to use these green-white checkers before. We have 2 of them at our disposal. Do you think we'll see one tonight?
You know, one thing that I feel like we need to mention, Bret does have a little bit newer tires than Nick does as well. That's the thing. Nick got all of that. That cushion for pitting those few laps earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But now Bret has those newer tires to work with. So.
Yeah, that's a great point. Bret pitted on lap number 95, whereas Nick pitted on lap 90. 5 laps of tire wear is huge. That's a 1/6 of the overall stint here. So, yeah, very, very good point. That's definitely going to play to Bret's advantage. I think we've seen Nick in the past be, great. He's great at the end. That's one of the best things Nick can do is just get in front there, get a good start. He's always great on the restarts. And if it's only 2 or 3 laps to go, I think it's going to be 3 laps to go if I had to guess. Should be 1 more lap around the pace car this next time by. But it's just something he's been so great at in the past, is in short bursts, just off a restart late in the race. He's almost impossible to beat. Beating Nick in a 2-lap showdown, taking the pace car out of it, taking strategy out of it, it's so tough. And I think Bret, he knows he doesn't need to. He knows he doesn't need to beat Nick, but he's got Gary Moore. He's got Kevin Foster, actually, on newer tires than anybody in the top 5, sitting right behind him. Nick's GFR Racing teammate won last week at Talladega. What a clutch showing of teamwork it would be for Kevin to get in front of Bret, hold him up a little bit, try to take 1 spot away. And remember, 4 spots separates these 2 gentlemen right now. It should be a wash with leading lap. They both have. And now it just comes down to the tiebreaker. If they tie on exactly, well, what would it be at this point? It'd be something in the ballpark of 90 points. If they tie, Nick wins the tiebreaker. So Bret needs to stay within 3 spots of Nick to win the title. So if Nick finishes first, Bret needs to finish 4th or closer, and the rest works down. If Brandon wins the race, the same thing goes. And Brandon's on newer tires than Nick as well. So keep an eye on that. But 3 laps to go in the Perfect Shine Auto Spa 109 at Charlotte. Thank you again to Perfect Shine Auto Spa for sponsoring the final round of the Bandit Racing League Season 9 playoffs. This is where it gets decided. The 2, the 99, the 04, and the 89. Green flag. Huge checkup for Bret Guzik. He does not get going. Bret is in 5th. He is 4 spots back. He's behind Nick's teammate. This is where it gets good. 3 laps to go. That could be the championship-ending mistake for Bret Guzik.
That could be. Cody talked about minimizing mistakes, but it was Bret who made the mistake here with 3 laps to go. He has the time to make it up. He's a fast driver, but can he get by him? They're side by side right in front of him.
He is driving for his life right now. 2 laps to go this time by. Remember, if we get a caution before 1 lap to go, we will have 1 green-white checkered restart. But here we go, 2 to go. He's got to get 1 of Foster or more. He just wants Gary Moore out of his way right now. Foster's going to be defending. Look up front, though. If Jackson gets Nickerson, Bret would win the title. That would go down to a 3-point advantage. And he does. The 99 truck on fresher tires. Jackson could play spoiler here. Gets by Nick, I should say. Through turn 3, he is clear. 1 lap to go. 2 more miles here left at Charlotte to determine the Bandit Racing League Season 9 Championship. Now the GFR guys are side by side. Bret got Gary. Jason Greenwell trying to get by Gary Moore. 1 lap to go. Brandon about 2 car lengths clear. He could seal it tonight. He could round it off as the champion. The championship contenders are side by side. 1 more lap to go. Can Bret finish it off in style? Get the move done.
64 sideways gets turned.
Ricky racks but avoids your championship contenders. Cody's caught in that. Bret gets him. He's clear by a car length. Kevin goes up high, tries 1 more move. Brandon Jackson off of turn number 4 will win it at Charlotte. Will cap it off with win number 3. But Bret Guzik is the Bandit Racing League Season 9 champion, and they wreck it at the line. Bret Guzik gets it done in clutch fashion, gets Nick on the final lap, and is your Bandit Racing League Season 9 champion. Congratulations to Bret Guzik.
What a season, what an ending for the 04 truck of Bret Guzik. A great run from him, a great race, and he's going to walk away with the championship.
Holy cow, what a finish that was. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Bret just, it wasn't easy. He had that wheel spin there on the start. He dropped back to 5th, exactly where he needed to be to lose the championship. Nick would have won the tiebreaker had he finished there, but Brandon played spoiler. Brandon went for the win, picked up the win. We shouldn't immediately discount Brandon's win. Congratulations to the 99. We will talk to him. Actually, we might talk to Brandon first. I think it's fitting that we make Bret your final interview of the season. Just feels like a good way to cap it off. So we'll go to Brandon first. I think we'll do your race winner, and then Bret Guzik, your championship winner. But just, he did everything he had to, and in a season where we've been quantifying, Bret as being the guy that was most clutch, stepped it up in the playoffs, went to another level. That's what we just saw, Evan. He had to find a way through Gary Moore and Kevin Foster, had to avoid a wreck, and he did. And not only did he do that, but he got the move done on his championship rival at the end. That's got to feel good. What a deserving champion, the 8th in Bandit Racing League history. He's just going to round it off. He's doing his victory laps. It's got to feel great for Bret. Let's find him on Skype, put him up here, because let's see how he's feeling there. There he is on Skype. The first time we've had a Skype camera all season. Actually looking pretty composed. Good for Bret, man. You got to think it feels good. Let's bring him up. Where is he? Bret Guzik, your champion. We're trying to get him up here on Skype. We'll get him for you in just a moment. There's Bret. I think it's starting to sink in there, man. He looks pretty content. We finally got him on Skype for the first time this race, and he's dethroned the champion, man. He's dethroned Nick Nickerson, the guy that all season we've talked about as being the guy. 9 wins throughout the season to this point. What a year it's been. And I'm sorry, we also shouldn't discount. He's doing his burnouts right now. Got his 3rd win of the season tonight. Brandon Jackson is your race winner at Charlotte, beating all the playoff contenders tonight in a clutch performance. The left side of that truck is demolished from that wreck there after the line. Brandon Jackson's your race winner. I think we're going to go straight to his winner's interview, but Evan, he's a guy we've seen for a long time. Unfortunately, didn't make his way into this final round, but you got to wonder tonight with the performance he put up and how well he did last week at Talladega. If he'd been here, he could have potentially been the season champion as well. Okay, we don't have connection to Evan Wall at the moment, but we do have connection to Brandon Jackson. We're going to bring him right in the broadcast booth here, and we will do his winner's interview before we get off to your championship winner here tonight, Mr. Bret Guzik. So for just a moment, we'll go to Brandon Jackson. He's got Bret Guzik doing burnouts around him as we speak. We got to catch both gentlemen here, but there is Bret. There is Bret doing his celebrations. Not your race winner at Charlotte, contrary to what the graphic now says. But okay, one more moment. We got to stay with Bret. He is your championship winner in what has been an astounding season. Let him finish his burnouts tonight. There you go, Bret Guzik. You do your thing, man. Congratulations. There is your Bandit Racing League Season 9 champion. The streak continues. No champion has ever repeated back-to-back. And the same holds true tonight. And what a way to do it to earn it. Not just do it on points with that buffer he had from Talladega, but to do it on track, to win proper here at Charlotte. That's got to feel pretty cool. Still doing donuts there. I think he's come to an end. I think he's about finished right now. He's just going to pull into the grass there. So we will get to your interview here with the race winner, Brandon Jackson. We'll go to him first, and then again, we will go to your championship winner, Mr. Bret Guzik. But there he is, race winner at Charlotte. Let's pull him up in the broadcast booth. Oh, he's hiding there on me a little bit. Decided to put himself in the furthest chat down in the entire list. So thank you, Brandon. Never making it easy. Let's see if we can bring him up here. Let's take some working around here in the booth. Just a moment. There we go. There he is. Mr. Brandon Jackson has Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Woo! There you go. A very ecstatic Brandon Jackson doing it in style. I know you weren't one of the championship 4 tonight. I know you had very different goals, but Brandon, you always seem to find the clutch moments. And at the very end, that 99 truck came into frame and won it at Charlotte. How are you feeling, man?
Man. Oh my God. It was a struggle bus of a race for me, man. And I honestly don't know what to say. I mean, it started with my shifter basically almost breaking and falling off the desk at the start of the race, and just had to claw back after that, getting trapped a lap down with those green flag cautions, man. I mean, oh my God, like I don't know what to do.
Yeah, so I totally forgot. Yeah, the first lap of the race, literally the first time anybody hit the gas pedal, and we found ourselves with the 99 causing a wreck. Yeah, I'm sad to hear it was a hardware malfunction. We had the feeling, and Evan and I put enough faith in you that it wasn't you missing a shift, and we thought it was you downshifting, which, you know, I feel like you're an experienced enough driver to not forget which shifter is which, but yeah, you fought your way back through. And just where was that pace? Because, Brandon, we've seen you be quick at the 1.5 miles in the past, but it just looked like a different side of you there at the end. You had the strategy to a T, you had the pace overall. Just, does any part of you feel like you should have been in this battle here at the end? Because you clearly had the run of the field there in the last 10 laps.
Man, I love this track. I love this track and any car. I got a good grip on it. And when that happened at the start of the race, it like flipped the mindset in me. I wanted to go to the front. I wanted to lead the race, but I just kept getting caught a lap down, caution, caught a lap down, caution. And then I finally just get my chance. It played out right for me. And I started on the front row with the final restart. And hell, I'm in the win. Hell, I'm in victory circle. I don't even know what happened. We doored going into turn 3, and next thing I know, I came off the corner straight, and I kept my foot in. If I was going to knock the wall off turn 4, I was going to push it halfway into the dirt track. I wasn't lifting. I was going to the front. I was going to win. I don't care how I was going to cross that line. I was crossing that line first after the race I had. Woo!
Yes, Brandon, that is what I like to hear, my man. Just what a drive from you. Picked the perfect race to do it there, right when we were focused on Bret and Nick, their great battle for the finish, and you just swooping out of nowhere taking the win. And I'm interested to know from your perspective, because that battle's happening around you. Actually, the way that the restart went, for a moment, Nick and Bret were tied on points. Nick would have won the tiebreaker there on the restart. You were kind of the guy messing it up. Your pass on Nick won Bret the title initially. And how did you play into that? You know, you're right in the middle of the championship battle. Did that affect your mindset at all? And I'm going to take a guess at the answer, because clearly it didn't. You're the race winner.
It was definitely in my head, you know, when the caution came, right before the caution came out, me and Bret were going off into turn 3, and I messed up the entry, and he had barely got to my left rear, enough to where I gave him room and it checked me up. Then the caution came out, so that kind of lined me up second next to Nick on the restart. And then after that, I don't know, like on the caution, I was like, God, I hope I don't mess up this race, but I really don't care. I want to win the race. I don't have a green spoiler. I don't have to worry about that. Regardless if I did or not, I was going to win. That's just my mentality on every race, whether I got a green spoiler or not. Yeah, just I want that checkered.
Yes, this is the Brandon I want. Brandon, I remember way back when we did our playoff brackets, and I put you as my driver to make the Final Four, and I said I would put money on. Besides Nick, you were the guy I thought was winning the title. This is the Brandon I was betting on, man. This is what I like to see. Third win of the season. You're tied for second most of anybody overall, including your season champion, Bret Guzik. I don't mean to bring you down, Brandon, but we go back to the Xfinity cars, which I know you said back in the Xfinity series wasn't your favorite, but I know you haven't enjoyed the trucks much this season. Is this Brandon the one we're seeing for season 10? And could you be the 9th different champion following up Bret this year next season?
Who knows? I could be the next champion. I could just win a lot of races. Who knows? My luck ain't the best when it comes into the playoffs. So, but I can tell you what, that 99 car is gonna be heading to the front of the field on every racetrack. You can bet your money on that and take it to the casino.
Brandon, this has been the most fun interview, the most high-energy interview I've had all season, and I was like, you know what, I think it's important. We'll go to the race winner before the championship winner, and gosh, I am glad we did, because this is the energy we need for this final interview with Bret in a moment. But Brandon, just congratulations, man. What a drive from you overall. Again, I wish it had been more in the forefront with the championship battle happening as well, but just congratulations, man. This is one of those times where I just want to let you do your thing. Any shout-outs you want to give, sponsors, anything like that, do your thing, and I cannot wait to see this Brandon back in season 10.
Oh my gosh, man. It's been a hell of a season, hell of a ride, man. Gotta thank Bill. Man, you put on a great of a league, man. I mean, look at our turnouts, look at the broadcast. You've done great. Marshall, you've done awesome this year, taking over the reins, man. Not much to say, man. I ain't got many fans. I say it every time. I ain't got many fans, but I love y'all. Hope y'all know. I go back and I watch the stream, and y'all make me tear up. Just a little bit of a tear. But, man, congrats to Bret. Hell of a season. Nick, man, you got to feel for the guy.
Yeah.
Won so many races and just fell short, man. I don't even know the points difference, but he fell short. And you gotta put your heart out to the guy. Man had a hell of a season. But other than that, man, thank every single last one of y'all, man, for coming out and watching the broadcast. I know I love to put on the show, but I'm also, I respect the way I drive on the track. So it's kind of a balancing act, but man, is it fun when you win races and when you win the last one after having to fight the whole way. So for any of my fans out there, man, hope y'all enjoy it, man. Y'all have a great Christmas. I'm done talking. It's time to go to your season champ. I'm a nobody. Evan, I love you. Marshall, I love you. I love everybody. I'm going to party.
I love you too, Brandon. It has been an incredible year watching you. Congratulations, my man. Go have fun. Go celebrate. Go enjoy it. And we will see you in a couple months for season 10.
Later, y'all.
What a guy. Oh, Brandon Jackson, your third win of the season. Wow. That's one you got to feel good for. Whenever Brandon wins a race, whether it has to do with the playoffs or not, it's just one you got to keep your eyes locked on, because what a driver he is. He's Action Jackson for a reason. Made that clutch move at the end on defending champion Nick Nickerson, and he takes away the final win of the year in the 24th round at Charlotte. But here we go. Your interview, the one that it's all been building up towards. Since the very first race at Daytona, we've been waiting for this moment to talk to the man that we are calling your series champion. And in season number 9, that is Bret Guzik. Let's get him in the broadcast booth. Congratulations to your champion. Let's just get his, get your final results ticker up there up top. And we'll get Mr. Bret Guzik up here in just a moment. Let's just find him in the order here. There's Mr. Bret Guzik. Bret, is Marshall up in the broadcast booth? Do you got a copy?
Yeah, I've got you, Marshall.
That was it, Bret. Congratulations, man. Season 9 champion to a T, what you had to do tonight. And I hate to say it, I hate to compare you to him right off the bat, but that was a Nick Nickerson race from you right there. Taking the pole, taking the win, leading the most laps. What is the feeling, man? You got to be the most self-confident, proudest dude I have ever seen. Congratulations, man.
I really can't really put in the words what is, kind of going through my head a little bit. I didn't really realize it was going to be that much of a nail biter after, say, lap 80. I knew something or somewhere or something would happen that would put me in a bad scenario somewhere at the end, and it happened at least multiple times. Midway through the race, I even gained an X, so I thought I was a little bit doomed at that point. Nick pitted early, and I got stuck in traffic. That kind of felt like I was doomed at that point. And then the last restart, somehow or another, I stuck it in third gear and didn't realize I didn't put it in second gear and blew the restart. Luckily, I pitted after Nick and those guys, and I just stuck it on the outside and out-tired those guys.
Yeah, it paid off. The finish couldn't have gone any better than you possibly could have imagined, I'd imagine. And, that final stint, it was looking stressful for you, man. Talking about you got to make up those points, because right after you go down and you have that mistake there on the restart, 3 laps to go, suddenly you and Nick were tied effectively on points, and had it finished that way, he would have got the better of you. But you fought back, you didn't give up. And is it safe to say that mindset of, you've been so close so many times here before, it was kind of the storyline heading into this year, that it had been a while, you had a kind of a Cody Welch style thing, where it had been a while since a win, you'd come so close, you were the guy that knew more about most of the tracks, about the style of racing than almost anybody in the series, but it didn't come together. But in the finale it did. Do you think that last couple laps is kind of a microcosm of your entire season and the way you've improved as a driver throughout season 9 to become the champion?
Well, I think it really kind of does a little bit. Just over the season, I kind of honed in on a lot of things that I was making mistakes. I was not getting into pit road the way I should. I was not running, 10 tenths all the time. I was trying to let races come to me when there was no hope of them, ending up in my lap and, just doing every scenario wrong. And I realized I just had to run as hard as I can and, let the cards play out.
Yeah, your best, I think we've always known, has been one of the best of anybody in the series. And, thinking about the playoff format, you had to be feeling a lot of pressure coming into tonight. But that performance at Talladega, do you feel like looking back and knowing that you could come in with a bit of a buffer here on points and you had that extra little breathing room? Is there any moment at Talladega that you look to, or any moment here at Charlotte tonight that you quantify as the moment you won the championship?
Yeah, I feel like just pretty much throughout these whole 2 races that's what really put me in this position. I just tried to run 10 tenths the whole time. I just, did everything by the book, and the scenarios worked out to where I would end up at the front late in the race. And I got to thank people like Christopher Ferrara, Michael Ramos for kind of sticking by me, just making sure I'm doing the right things, make sure I'm thinking the right way, pushing me at Talladega, especially when they didn't have to, but it all worked out.
Did indeed. And Bret, you dethroned the man himself, Nick Nickerson, on track and in the championship here, and you're the 8th champion in series history. Just thinking about how you go forward now as the guy that has conquered it all, that beat the guy that won 9 races on the season. There's no doubt that playoffs or not, no matter the format, you deserve this championship now. But what's next for Bret Guzik? What's next for the 04 truck as we go into season 10? Do you want to do what Nick tried to do this season, become the first ever repeat champion? Do you have a higher bar for yourself next year? Do you have a different goal as we head back to Xfinity? What does the future of the 04 truck look like?
I feel like we run another season. I feel like I can, do something very similar. Nick is a champion through and through. I mean, he kind of sets the bar in this league. You have to go out there and take it from him if you're going to win this championship every year. And he really sets that bar. And, until someone somehow outduels him, that it's very hard to beat him.
And you were the one tonight, Bret. You were the one that outdueled him, not only in the entire season, not only at Talladega, but tonight at Charlotte. Just the most I've ever meant this, because tonight you're the final guy we talked to this season. You're the guy that caps it all off, and you're the guy that when we put season 9 up on a graphic in the future, you're the name going next to it. Any shout outs you want to give, anybody you want to thank for this entire season, any drivers, anybody behind the scenes, any fans, or if there's any sponsors you want to mention, now is your time to do so. You're the final guy of the season. Say whatever you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I got to thank everybody who puts on this league. We say it every week. We got Bill, we got Matt. There are great administration that puts these shows on. They organize this whole thing. They find the sponsorship to be able to do this every week. They do this on their own dime. They don't ask for anything out of us other than that we participate, and it really shows. I'd like to thank my family for sticking by me. They're watching right now. Love you guys. And just like to thank all the competitors. You guys are really what makes this league so much fun.
Well, Bret, without you, it wouldn't have been a title fight. It wouldn't have been such an incredible finale. And again, you are the season 9 champion of the Bandit Racing League. I know it might take a little bit of time to set in, but you have put in so much work this season, 24 races. I know on behalf of Evan and I, we've been so impressed with the growth you've had as a driver last season, this season. Even one of my favorites, I saw firsthand there in the Fun Run League this past year when I was racing against you, just how incredible of a driver you are. And I think we all knew that it could transfer over into this. You were the champion. Congratulations, Bret. Have a great off season. We wish you the absolute best of luck going forward. And hopefully we'll see you back in season 10 for what, again, could be a follow-up campaign to this season's title. Congrats, Bret. There we go. We will head off with that. Bret just trying to get his camera worked out. We're all good now. But congratulations to Bret Guzik. Yeah, unfortunately, a little bit of difficulty there with his camera there at the beginning, but we got it figured out. There is your season 9 champion, Mr. Bret Guzik. Again, I want to get that pretty graphic up because it looks so good on that 04 truck. What a year he has had. He's had to fight from start to finish, but he perseveres in the very end. And just, Evan, I want to go to you because you've been here all the way through, whether you were here on the broadcast or you were just watching from home. You've seen this entire season from start to finish. In fact, you've been around here with the Bandit Racing League longer than I have. What do you think this does for Bret? What does this say about how he's come as a driver, and What do you expect from him in season 10?
Yeah, I feel like this really just proves Bret's rise. You've been able to, if you've been watching the broadcast, you've really watched Bret's rise of how he was always a good driver. He was always a consistent driver. He was consistently top 10, and then he was consistently top 5, and then he was consistently competing for the win, and now he's the champion, and I expect even more out of him next year. I feel like next year he's going to do the same thing. He's risen to the occasion. He knows that he can do it. He kind of has that weight off his shoulders, and now he can just kind of it ought to be a little easier for him. You know, he doesn't have to worry about not having done it before. Now he has it under his belt. He's done it before, so he can just continue with the success that he's had as a season 9 champion.
He's still doing those donuts there. He is pumped about it. And I feel, you know, we talk about momentum in the series constantly. That's the one thing we always go back to. And you know, the guy with the most momentum now, if anybody, has to be Bret Guzik. And I can't wait to see what he does in season 10. But for your final interview, I know we suggested that was your final interview, but it feels criminal not to talk to him with the year he had. I know he's not in a great mood. You can see it on Skype. There's some frustration there. There's some exhaustion, I'd imagine, after a long season. But for your final interview, I think we got to get a chance to talk to Mr. Nick Nickerson, the guy that had possibly one of the best seasons of anybody. Came so close tonight. We'll get his perspective to round off this season. Just a moment here as Bret finishes up his victory burnouts. He is burning the engine out of that 04 truck here as we speak, but we will go to Nick Nickerson. He is in the broadcast booth with us now. Nick, just
how's it going, man?
The heartbreak, man. Bret said it in his interview. Brandon said it in his interview. A heart's broken for you, man, after the incredible season you had tonight. But you can't say it didn't come down to a great finish. Just walk us through those last couple laps and the feeling there at the very end.
I mean, you know, I came into the race trailing a couple points, and you know, I walk out trailing just one more point. Final results were that he beat me by 3 points, and not really heartbroken. I mean, that's just the way it is. Sure would have liked to get the championship for Big Red and be the first back-to-back, but it is what it is, man. It was a fantastic race. It was so hard to pass when you weren't in the lead, like clean air. I mean, it was just the aero push was just terrible, and I was just chewing up tires after tires. Like the only time I felt comfortable was I finally got on the lead there, but then the yellow came out. I was gonna win the race, but you know, last what I cautioned at like 102 or something like that, and then to restack the field, and I probably had the oldest tires of anybody that got tires recently. But yeah, man. I mean, you know, congrats to Bret, man. He definitely deserved it from these past 2 rounds. I mean, he came out of a cannon for this race, man. Yeah, I mean, there's not much else I could say about that. I mean, he was just super fast this whole race. I freaking lost my qualifying position. I ended up qualifying like 6th or something, 5th or 6th, because on my flyer, like there's this thing that happens in iRacing when like the lights up for the track turn on, and like it completely changes the textures of the track. It goes from like kind of shiny to like this very like matte color, and that happens like in the middle of 3 and 4, like as I was entering 3 and 4, and it just visually screwed up like my markers and stuff. And I was like, oh my god, dude, I just got screwed for getting the pole. And from there, I was just trying to get in front of everybody, man. But I was burning my tires up, just trying to stay in line. And yeah, almost had it, but you know, it is what it is, man. It was a good season.
It was a great season. And come on, Nick. 9 wins, man. It's 9 wins for season 9. Like, what a season it is. We'll see if we get 10 for season 10 next year. You got a pretty high bar to clear. But it's been an incredible season for you from start to finish. And you know, is there any takeaway? We asked Bret, you know, what moment or what aspect of this season or the playoffs that he think won him the championship in the end. And I'll ask you the same question. You know, for your season, for how incredible it was, knowing you were the champion last year, you know what it's like to be in this spot, as in Bret's spot as the final interview. What do you think it was that went wrong for you this season that just it meant you're the runner-up this year rather than the champion?
You know, it's just the way the playoff system works, man. You know, like Talladega, you know, Bret was able to capitalize on that, while you know, Cody and Tony, unfortunately, they kind of got put behind substantially. And even me coming in 2 points, like that's a lot of points when you're running like 1 and 2, like, or top 5. It's hard to make that up. I mean, if Bret was like a middle of the pack kind of driver, then it's one thing. But when you're running up front, 2 points is 2 full positions. So if I were to win this race, Bret would have had to finish like 4th, and that's just something that doesn't really happen unless he gets in a severe accident. But yeah, I mean, there's not much you can take away, man. It's just the way the game's played. You got to be on your game every single race. And I'll save this replay, and if we run here again next year, then I can kind of take away some little things. Definitely got to focus a little more on like the tire saving and like picking a line. But so we'll be in the Xfinity car, man. I love the Xfinity car. You actually have to use a brake a little bit at this track when you start getting on all their tires, so that's nice. Helps the car rotate. But yeah, man, it was just an awesome season. I mean, yeah, I don't get the championship, but I guess I'll walk away with my 10 wins.
Whoa, hey, don't go throwing controversies around here. That's a conversation for a later date. But yeah, no, it was just what a year it was for you, man. It would have been pretty poetic to have it end on 10 here, and you were the pole sitter with 4 laps to go. Like you were so darn close there at the very end. And yeah, going back to your Xfinity cars, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was a while ago, but I believe last time we were in the Xfinity cars, you were the champion. So yeah, it's not too far away, man. A couple months in the off season, you're always the guy that's putting in the work to study and research and see what you can improve on. In those 3.5 months before season number 10 and a couple months here in the Xfinity cars, what are you going to take away? What are you going to work on? Or are you just, I like you did at the end of last season, just throwing the sim aside for a while?
I'll probably throw the sim aside for just a couple weeks. I've been practicing so much that like my shoulder muscles are kind of like sore. So I need to take just a couple weeks off. These direct drives can really put a little force on your bones and muscles. But I'm looking forward to that open wheel. I was running around with the Formula Renault 3.5. That thing's kind of difficult to drive, so I'm kind of looking forward to running that for a little while. But I just want to kind of keep up with anything that changes with the Xfinity car, and then just kind of start from square one. I mean, you don't have to come screaming out of the gate at the beginning of the season. You just got to improve little by little each race. And if we're running the same kind of style playoff system next year, then so be it, man. I mean, these are fun. They're enjoyable to watch. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people, while they might have been fans of Bret and Cody and Tony, they probably assumed that I was going to walk away with it, and look what happened. I didn't.
Yeah.
Bret was able to capitalize 2 races in a row and finish in front of me. So anything can happen, and it's exciting. It's even exciting for me because I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, man, it was just a blast, and can't think of anybody better ambassador for Bandit Racing League to be a champion than Bret. So he's here every single day of the week, damn near, doing practices and helping people. So I mean, it's not you just so deserving. That's all I can say, really.
Awesome. I don't think I could have put it much better than that. It's a perfect way to cap it off, Nick. And I appreciate the humbleness and the attitude towards Bret. You guys have been great competitors all year. I think back to that battle at Eldora constantly, and that was such a great race between you guys. So you guys have a history there, and you know what the deal is here. I'll give you your chance. Anybody you want to shout out? Any sponsors that have supported you all throughout the season? Anybody you want to thank? Now's your time to do so.
Yeah, man. Just first off, Big Red Propane for sponsoring GFR Racing. Our team, walking away with more than half the wins. But we would have had another win, but I got to go back and see the replay between Kevin and Kevin was almost going to get a second race in a row there. I don't know what happened. I'll have to go back and look, but we got a lot of wins on the team, and we're looking for more next season. And TechNet, Perfect Shine Auto Spa. I know Perfect Shine Auto Spa is going to be a major sponsor next year for the league. Super excited for that. And everybody that runs this league, man, we just have a freaking blast. Looking forward to the kind of off-season winter showdown or whatever they're calling it. It'll be a time to kind of just race and have fun and not worry about points and this and that, or just bring the camaraderie back, no more tensions with, playoff standings and stuff. And looks like was Evan with you today?
Yep, we got him in the booth.
Yeah,
yes,
awesome. Cool, man. Hey, it's good to see you, man. It's been a while.
Has been a while. Good to see you too, Nick.
Yeah, man. Just I can't appreciate you guys enough for all the work you put in these broadcasts, man. It's hard to find a better broadcast out there, to be honest. I mean, outside of like high dollar broadcasts, I mean, it's just some of the best broadcasting you can get for sim racing. And I hope we can do it again for a few seasons.
Awesome. I so dearly appreciate that. I know, Evan, you were here before I am, and we will be back for season 10, I assure you. So we'll be here for the rest of the series for the big 1-0, the big double digit, and I think if I had to put money on a guy that I think is going to maybe not have 9 wins again, because that's absurd, and I feel like guys are getting better and better. The Xfinity series is quite a bit more competitive, but I know you'll be a talking point once again. I have no doubt in my mind that in 4 months' time I'll be back to talking to you quite frequently, once every couple weeks, if not every week. So Nick, absolutely, again, from the bottom of my heart, congratulations, man, on everything you did this season. I know it didn't end the way that you were hoping it would, but did what you could. You put in your absolute best effort in it. It took a supernatural effort from Bret here in the playoffs to dethrone the champ. So congratulations, Nick.
Hey, appreciate it, man. And I know the kind of broadcast, this kind of thing isn't going to last forever, man. It's going to be sad when, you'll have to move on when you get an actual job that pays good money. Let's just enjoy it for as long as we can, I guess.
That's the plan. I'm enjoying every race I run in the series because I sincerely love it. And I'll be here as long as I possibly can. So
awesome, man. Well, hey, hopefully I'll see you in a couple weeks here whenever your open wheel season starts.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, starting up very soon. It'll be on this same very channel. So if you're not tired of seeing Nick yet, you'll see more of him soon. And we do. Hey, we gotta get something going. We've talked about in the past. We're gonna do some sort of fun shenanigans, some sort of road course test thing. I'm thinking we got to make it a proper segment in the future. We got to either do something for that, or maybe it'll be a channel, some sort of video that comes out in the next few weeks. We got to eventually throw down a little bit, Nick, because you're the guy in the stock cars, and I got plenty of formula and karting experience. So one of these days, we've talked about it for a while. We got to eventually do it.
Well, now we've got a little time off. Maybe we can find a day to do something.
Yeah,
definitely put something together.
Formula One at Mount Washington, something like that. We'll figure it out. We got a plan there, but thanks, Nick. I'm sure we'll do something in the future. Keep an eye out for that, everybody. Maybe it'll be at the start of season 10, but whatever it is, Nick, have a great off season, man. You deserve it.
Hey, appreciate it. Appreciate everybody watching. Hopefully you come back next season. It'll be a blast. Take care, man.
See ya. There you go. Tonight's, not race winner, not championship winner, but I think you did everything this season you possibly could short of winning said championship, and just what a year it's been for Nick Nickerson. We've got a special guest in the broadcast booth, I see, and a guy that I was hoping to get a chance to talk to before the end of the year, the guy who puts it all together, the guy that makes the Bandit Racing League not only what it is, but makes it anything at all. We wouldn't be here, none of us, without this man himself. Now in the broadcast booth, Mr. Bill Harkins.
Well, hello, gentlemen. They finally released me from the infield care center. My neck's about, broken in two, and my back's, twisted around my stomach. My legs, I think, are up in my pelvis, but I'll be all right. Been on the front stretch was probably the hardest hit I've ever had in virtual racing in my life. But anyhow, on a better note, gentlemen, wow. First time I really got to watch the broadcast at the end there live like that. Wow. I'm just sitting here in awe and think how fortunate I am to have the two of you, do this broadcast for us. And the finish, of this race was just amazing. The interview with Brandon, really all the hard work that goes into this behind the scenes that people don't get to watch. The 12 hours I spent today between licensing and trademarks and all this other stuff that goes on, I'd spend 30 hours doing it when the product is like that and you guys put on a show like that. Worth every ounce of the energy and effort, and worth it for every one of these guys in the league. There's not a single person in this league, past, present, that I don't appreciate being here or that they've been here. It's phenomenal to have the people that come here dedicated on Wednesday nights. Phenomenal to have yourself and Evan and the work you guys do. And I echo 1000% what Nick said. The level of broadcasting that you're providing with the means of which you're providing it, I would put you guys even up against esports and any of those guys, because really you guys are knocking it out of the park, and I really appreciate that. And kind of the last thing, I'm kind of rambling on here, but the last thing I really want to say is So I've known Bret since he was a kid. I met Bret when he was a little scraggy, little skinny, probably 85-pound kid when he came to Jennerstown. I think it was Lake Erie Speedway. He hung out with us first. He hung out with us in the Hooters Pro Cup Series. Him and his dad wanted to come and see what it was like to be involved at that level of racing. And they hung out with us at multiple other tracks. So I've known Bret for a long time. And Bret was a damn good racer himself in real life. For him to win a championship, Bret may not show the emotion, but I'll guarantee you it was there. And I'll guarantee his mom and dad had tears. There's no doubt in my mind knowing that family. So the way everything worked out this year, I couldn't have wrote a better script for this year. And very appreciative to everything. So congratulations to Bret on his championship, Nick on his second place, Cody on his third, Tony obviously, at the fourth place, and Brandon on the win. So awesome job, guys.
I sincerely appreciate it, Bill. It has been an absolute pleasure this season. Taking over from Evan last year, I knew it was going to be tough, and it's just been an absolute joy every week to come out and watch some of the best racing out there. And again, you alluded to it at the beginning, but the work that you put into this series, and even when things objectively go horribly, and everything tries to make the series as tough for you to run as possible, you persevere through. We had some difficulties this season, but you always fought through. You always were the guiding light that got us through here, and to the end of an incredible season. Season 9 for me was, as you said, so many fun storylines, such a fun outcome. Again, Bret, such a deserving champion, a guy I got to know a whole bunch in that other fun series we ran in the off season before this year. Just an absolutely stand-up guy. We're so happy to have him. I think he's a great representative of the series, but without you, Bill, it wouldn't happen. So sincerely on behalf of myself, Evan and Chris and anybody who works to put the series on, and I'm sure all the drivers, just sincerely thank you for everything you do and for giving us this opportunity to put on, hopefully a great product, or as great as possible, with the great racing we've been given all season.
Oh, absolutely. And, Evan's been pretty quiet back there. It kind of makes me wonder if he hasn't snoozed off on us. Evan, you okay back there?
I'm just hanging out. Let y'all do the talking.
Evan, man, you deserve a lot of credit. You're doing so much stuff behind the scenes here that, a lot of people don't see. They see your graphics, and we talk about you often, but, what you're a big cog in the wheel there, and it's greatly appreciated. And, guys, look forward to next season, season 10, with the new website launch. I'm excited about that. I think people are going to be highly impressed with that launch when it happens. The products will eventually come back out again, in a different manner of things. We'll change the product up a little bit and really show people that we're going to step up to the next level. And I'm speechless. Really, I am. Great job. That's all I can say. Evan, knock it out of the park every time. Marshall, same way, man. You guys rock, and thank you.
Thank you. I sincerely really appreciate it, Bill. And yes, I with all the chaos tonight, there was no shortage of stuff to talk about. We didn't get to it, but yes, the Bandit Racing League is going to have a new website coming out within the next couple of weeks. Certainly before the start of season 10. So keep an eye out for that. I've heard it's going to be great. It's going to be more polished. I can't wait, and to have a website that's new and sleek and be fitting of the big 1-0, the big 10th season of the series. I have some ideas I think would be good for season 10. I know there's a lot of guys that are going to hopefully come back. I'd love to see a full season of Ashley Molyneux running in the series. She has put up so many good fights in the past. She's been a great competitor. I hope to get a lot of those part-time drivers in for a full year. I think Christopher Hamilton could compete over a full season. I'm just hoping season 10 is as big as, the biggest and bestest it's ever been in this series. But that's a pretty high bar to clear, especially after tonight's cap off to a really, really great season. So keep an eye out for the website. There's been some confusion with some of the merch right now, so we're going through a bit of a limbo period. It'll all be fixed in the next couple days. So if you're going to get some stuff, the Christmas rush is probably over right now, but if you're looking to get some stuff for the new year, get ready for season 10. If you never got a chance to get any drivers merch, keep an eye out. It'll be back up very soon, and soon to be on a new website. So thank you so much, Bill, for everything you do for the series. I sincerely appreciate it, and I can't wait. I'm sure we'll be talking throughout the off season, but yeah, can't wait to have you back. And I know we both want season 10 to be the biggest and best it's ever been. I think it will be.
Yep, absolutely. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and if it's not Merry Christmas, just have a good weekend. So,
Awesome.
y'all
Thank you,
take
Bill.
care. Thank you very much.
There you go. That'll wrap off what's a very fitting final interview of the season with Mr. Bill Harkins, the guy who, again, puts it all together, the guy who runs the series, who is the founder of the Bandit Racing League. Again, we showed all that information earlier about the 9 seasons of the league and how long we've been here. He's the reason any of it happened. So we sincerely thank him each and every day. And again, didn't have an easy season, but always found a way to guide us through, and we're still here as a result. I saw there in the chat, I feel bad that we never got a chance to get to him, but tonight with how much we had to go over post-race, had a champion, had Nick to go over, had your race winner Brandon, talk to Bill. Unfortunately, we won't get a chance to talk to Kevin Foster. It's going a little long, and I do want to get one more chance though to shout out again. Perfect Shine Auto Spa has been such an important sponsor to the series all season, the primary sponsor. I hope any of you have gotten curious to go check them out over the course of the season. I've never had a proper link I could provide, but hopefully you guys have been inspired and genuinely go check them out on the internet. Search them up, you'll find them pretty quickly. Just don't have an official website link I can provide on our end. But sincerely, they have been such a valuable sponsor to us all season. They sponsored an incredible race tonight with the Perfect Shine Auto Spa 109 here at Charlotte. And thank you to them for sponsoring the finals, sponsoring so much this season. They're going to be back for season 10. We are so happy that that's the case. And we hope to give them an even better showing next year. Hope to support a really great brand even better into season 10. But Evan, it is our time. We got to wrap this thing off. And what a year it has been, my man. It's been an absolute pleasure here, that not only this season but last season. You know, we started off in season 8, back when it was Nick and a fairly considerably closer pack of drivers in the overall season and wins in terms of top 5s and top 10s. But this year I think it was a whole nother beast, a whole nother season. And just to wrap it off with Bret being the champion, a guy that we've known for a long time, has put in the work, finally it pays off. How would you quantify this season from your perspective? And just what are you going to be doing in the off season heading to season 10?
Well, it's been a great season. It's been a lot of fun. If you guys haven't seen all the races, you should definitely go back and watch them, or at least watch the beginning of every race, and you can catch the post race highlight or the highlight from the week before if you don't want to watch the full broadcast.
That's a good idea.
It's been a great season. It's been a lot of fun. I'm already excited for the next season. I think the Xfinity cars are going to be a lot of fun. But you know what I'm excited for before that? Marshall's got another league talked about. He talked about it a little bit. When is that going to start up? How about you talk about when that's going to start up, what it's going to consist of real quick, right before we head out.
Yeah, so I really sincerely wish for any of the drivers in that league watching, I wish I'd been able to put more time into officially getting things set up for it, because I've been very busy these last few weeks. Now that this is done, I am immediately going into planning for that, because that's a league I put on myself. It's called the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. It's going into its 2nd season. It's technically the 4th season of a league I've hosted. I started a series called the Carts to Computers series back at the very beginning of COVID, back in March of last year, for a lot of local karting drivers that I run with that I've had a connection to for a number of years. I started up a series that kind of grew and grew. We established more drivers from other karting scapes in Canada. It was primarily a Canadian series first, but we then recruited a bunch of American drivers, guys from all over the field, or all over the world really. And we're now 4 seasons in. This is going to be season number 4. It's a 12-race calendar. It starts on January the 9th. It's going to run every Sunday for almost 3 months, up until the end of March, at which point, of course, the Bandit Racing League comes back, so you will not be without racing action for quite a while. But it's a mix of open wheel road course racing and oval racing. It's 6 races of each. So it's going to be the Formula Renault car, which is a quite high-powered, high-intensity, high-downforce open wheel car for the road courses, so for some great kind of Formula F1 style racing. And at the ovals, it's going to be the Indy Pro car, so more of an IndyCar style, open wheel oval thing. It's really fun. There's competitive racing. Series driver Nick Nickerson is confirmed to be jumping over. I've got a couple other Bandit guys that are they're taking an interest in running part-time, because we got some road course junkies in here just like me. So it's coming in the next couple weeks. I really want to get more information out about it and just give you guys all the info. Not only you guys at home, you might see some stuff about it. If you follow the channel, you'll start seeing postings. The races will be posted up very shortly. And it's going to be really fun. So January 9th on the same channel, it's going to come back on the Full Send Racing Network. That's a series I'm hosting, so it'll be slightly different. A lot of guys from the Canadian community, so it's going to be a different community of drivers. But hopefully some of you guys will come over and give it a chance if you have any interest in open wheel racing. And it should be a fun season with its own set of fun racing. So awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate it, Evan, for getting the opportunity to talk about that. I totally forgot that that's going to be on the exact same channel. So like 2 weeks. gotta get working on that. I got some work to do very quickly, but yeah. See, we got to wrap up season 9. But Evan, just thank you so much for coming back, man. It's great to have you here in the finale with me again. Whether he's here on the broadcast each week or not, he puts so much work into getting the graphics done. Anything you ever see on screen, that's what I always say. It was probably Evan 90% of the time, and it's always quality stuff. I wouldn't have had a hope in doing this season as I have. To the extent that I have with the success that we have here on the Full Send Racing Network without you, Evan. So sincerely from the bottom of my heart, I thank you and for coming back tonight and always being a great voice here with me alongside in the booth. So just anything you want to shout out, anything you want to talk about, anything you want to say about Alabama, because I know there's always some Alabama football propaganda. We're getting to the end of the season. Feel free to talk about whatever you'd like, man. I got the garbage can in the background there, so whatever you'd like.
I don't have too much to say. Just gonna end the season with a big Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. I have no affiliation to any team in American football, so I'll cheer for Alabama just there you go. You are decked out, my man. You got the Evan Media hat. You got the wow. Okay, is there a place somebody can buy those Evan Media hats?
There is evanwallmedia.com.
Oh, the link is in the description.
Buy the Evan Media hats if you're interested.
There you go. If you want to support Mr. Evan Media, that's the place to go. Link is as always in the description. Go check him out. But with that, we'll wrap it off. I just want to, very quickly thank Bill Harkins, Christopher Ferrara for doing the Instagram, Matt Crockett for everything he does. He gives me valuable information for the race. The only reason I know where the pit stints are at each week. Whenever I can, I try to do practice. A lot of weeks I can't, and Matt's the one that fills me in for that, and he does a lot of admin stuff in the background for the series. Thank you to all the admins. Thank you to every driver that makes the series possible. Without you guys showing up week in and week out, we wouldn't do any of what we do. So thank you to every driver who's ever run in this series at any point. And most sincerely, thank you to all of you watching at home. Like, what a year it's been. When I took over, I was worried. You know, it's a lot of guys. It's a very threatening thing to try to broadcast. It's a big series, but you know, I had some help along the way from guys like Evan, everybody else, Mitch Sullivan, who helped out at the beginning of the season. Just sincerely to everybody who has ever, taken part in this series. I wouldn't have been able to do it without you, and I'm so glad we're at the end because it's great to crown a champion. It's great to see guys get a bit of a break and to see their hard work pay off, but I can't wait to be back. But without you guys at home watching it each week in and week out, whether you're a fan of a specific driver, you're just people that come to support me specifically and have really latched onto the series, or if you're just a fan, if you just stumbled across us through the Instagram or on YouTube at some point and you're still here, sincerely, I thank all of you because seeing the amount of support the series has had this late in the season means the world to me. I know it means a lot to everybody involved and to Chris on Instagram. It's such a huge thing, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Take some time off from the series, get a break, take your Wednesday nights back for a bit, and we'll see you back for season 10 not too long from now. One more time, I want to put him up because he is your Bandit Racing League season 9 champion. Congratulations to Bret Guzik. There is the trophy. One more time, we'll put it up with his name on it, and there is a real trophy. Thank you to Steve Ulrich as well for providing us with a real trophy for this season of the Bandit Racing League. So that real trophy will be going to Bret Guzik here in the next couple weeks. So Bret's got some hardware to take home for what has been a great season. There is the final image we'll head off on. Congrats to Bret Guzik for being the not the winner of the Perfect Shine Auto Spa 109 at Charlotte, but taking away his first career championship. With that, we will head off. Have a great off season, everybody. Happy holidays, whether you celebrate Christmas, anything you celebrate. I hope it's wonderful. Have a great Christmas in a couple days, and we will see you very soon for either my series on the 9th or season 10 of the Bandit Racing League coming in but around springtime. We'll approximate, but we'll see you very soon, everybody.
Absolutely.